back. Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to the round 9 team sheets video. I guess it's a live stream, right? But really happy to be here, joined by Swizz, having a little bit of internet issues at the moment, and Joe's definitely on his way. Hopefully everyone's doing fantastic. Boy, oh boy, team sheets coming out soon, and just kind of rookie troubles. I love the start of the season because we get quite a few rookies coming through. But when it comes to this point in time, it really feels like we're stuck with one or two and everyone's bringing in everything, almost like the decisions are made for us already. So, yeah, it's a rough one, but we'll get through it. There's a couple of good players up on the bubble. If you went for an Atkins, it might be time to rethink that as well. From what I'm hearing, he might be in a moon boot, so potentially doesn't play this week.
Interesting. Very interesting there, mate.
Yeah. Hey, Duke, how you doing? Thanks for joining in. And we've got Sean. Hey, Sean. You've got some fans already, Swizz, in the chat. So,
love it. Love it.
Yeah. How's your
there we go, comments.
If you had to describe this year so far, how would you describe this year so far?
Probably moving better than what I was last year. I keep saying how far behind I was last year, and then sort of made the charge mid-year. But what am I now? Like ranked just outside of 1,000. I think I'm like 1,009.
Okay, that's pretty good.
And it's just frustrating because round one stuff up. Like if I do the right captain choices like Chris did, I feel like I'm potentially like top 100 right now. Like it's just, and there's nothing between. I was looking up the other day, and I think it was only like 200 points with the top 100 to the top 1,000. I might have it in here in front of me, but I know it wasn't that much. And just round one, like Laird versus Witts, and that was 90 points down the drain just there. So some decisions. What if I got overall 17,969? And if I'm just having a quick look at the rankings, I know Best Coast Eagles has been flying all year. Shout out to Cullen there. Though I know I think he did get caught up a little bit this week. Actually, no, he's all right this week. It was the previous week, but 50 Shades is actually just behind him. So they're 1870. So that's obviously a long way more ahead. But if you keep scrolling sort of down and you get down to 100th spot, it's 18,219. And what did I just say? So I'm 17th. So it's 250 points to 100th spot.
Catch up. It's pretty good.
That is legitimately nothing.
Yeah,
and that was like last week.
I'm currently 17,600-ish. So I'm not too far off you, and then I'm not too far off the next guys. Basically, every week I've been jumping up in ranks. So I totally agree. Captain scores really hurt. It's almost the people as well. Like, I don't know what you scored round one, but I scored like just over 1,900. And some people got 22, 23, 24. So even just that small difference is basically the difference we've been having all year with a lot of teams. Captain scores mean so much. And I think as we slowly come into the point where everyone's got a completed team, which hopefully we can do, I think it's really just going to be whoever picks like the Bont and he goes massive, or whoever picks, Darcy Cameron or Shrek or Tim English, whoever. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, even on last week, what did I have? I think I must have gone Clary, and then those who obviously went, Bont got paid off. I think what Chris had Dunk, so he was gloating because that was 13 points over me. Bont people, that's 28 other points. So straight away there, if I do back the Bont in instead of Clary, that's 28 more points. Now I'm only 210 points behind 100th spot, and I feel like that's each every week. There was a couple of rounds ago, I think I was maybe 40 points off the best captain choice because I backed in my VC, which was solid, but there was another obvious choice that I think went nuts, and you add that round one score in, and it's like, okay, I'm top 100, and here we go, game on. So a lot can go. A lot buys, we always say, is the big changer. So that's trying to get my head around how I want to set my team up for that. And the players I bring in the next couple of weeks will obviously be, trying to help that as much as possible.
Yeah, and it's almost like as well, I've been toying up with happening with my team. I think with not having many boosts at the moment, it kind of hurts. But I was really hoping I'd get very close to
What's this boost thing that you're talking about?
Yeah, exactly, right. What it just gives me 3 trades at the start of the season. Like that's all it is, right? But not having a completed team coming into the buy rounds is almost a benefit because I haven't gone out and like purged my bench. It is pretty purged, but not to the point of death. But then also, I'm not going to have the disadvantage of having like a Cripps on my bench during a buy, where I'd have 2 rookies and I can upgrade to a guy who's already played, for example. So, yeah, if you've got 18 or 19 premiums heading into the buys, I think you're doing okay as long as you've kind of got the bench players. But as you said, last year I jumped up maybe 5,000 or 6,000 spots straight into the top 1K from the buys. And this year it's even worse. Maybe not so much with the round 13 buy, because most people are going to have only 18 anyway. And if you don't have Stewart or Anderson, it's your best 18 premiums. But the other 2, and round 12, obviously, you can make up some serious ground. If you've got bench rookies playing, that 40, 50 points from a bench rookie who's on field instead of a donut is huge.
Now, and I think it's just been said there by the Duke, and I'm not just getting confirmation from my sources that apparently Parrish may be out, and it looks like that could be the case with a calf.
Yeah.
So I'm just getting that through as well. So yeah, huge.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So Atkins is out, Parrish is out. Oi. There's going to be some fun. Maybe Constable gets a run because Atkins isn't playing. That'd be cool.
That'd be amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. That's what the doctor ordered. Another injury to my boys. Swizz, thank you for coming on. Big J,
I feel like I'm part of the furniture now.
100%, man. 100%. You are more center bounce than I am. You attend these. You attend these on time more than I do, which is amazing. That's just what we needed. Parrish out as well. No Ridley. No Laverty. I'm not a betting man, but if you guys are a betting man or woman or whatever you identify as, then that Essendon versus Brisbane game is very juicy on everything Brisbane related, honestly.
Yeah,
that's
makes
massive.
It tough because I wanted to get rid of Ashcroft this week, but do I have to go and rethink again what I'm going to do with Ashcroft? If I don't
We've just lost our best one baller. We've lost our best contested ball winner. So, you have to keep Ashcroft. Ashcroft.
I don't want to, though. I really don't want to, Joe.
Well, he's our number 1 clearance player.
I was planning on trying to keep him anyway, but
you have to keep Ashcroft this week. And at home, you can't not have Ashcroft.
I don't have money anywhere else. Ashcroft equals a premium. I can't afford to do it anywhere else. Maybe. But...
Well, that's where I was actually half tempted to, and this is the hard thing, do I fall too behind not doing this, or do I just back Ashcroft scoring? Because a lot of people obviously are trading Ashcroft. He's, that's 17,000 teams, which I usually just concentrate on the top 1%. So I'll have a look at that in a second. Yeah. But everybody's trying to upgrade and bring a player in for them. Do I just one downgrade instead, just so I can bank cash to make my moves the next 2 weeks? Because I can talk about some of the options I'm going through soon, but that will significantly change who I can bring in by just doing one down this week.
Yeah.
And as you said, like Ashcroft could be, he could restart his cash gen if he has a big game against the Bombers, which is definitely a possibility.
Well, averages. For me this week, it was Ashcroft out plus Chandler to go get Anderson. So I can not do that. And then I've only got, if Weddle plays, obviously he's my downgrade rookie this week. If that happens, then I can get someone around that 530K mark. But I can't get anyone else. So it's really that difference in price between those 2 players. I can keep Ashcroft another week and maybe I can offload like a 220K player and then get a premium. That's fine. But it really wasn't in my trade plans to do that. And I just don't know, man. Like...
Ashcroft.
If Anderson comes out and drops another big game against West Coast, because West Coast, average, it's tough. Do I drop Chandler against Hawthorn, who basically are just trash and are going to have them getting stomped this week? So, it's a really tough situation to be in.
I get what you mean, but at the same time, I just think that simply looking at a player having a really low break even and then being afraid that you're going to miss out on them moving forward, I think yeah, realistically, if all things line up, it is very likely that you will miss them for a long time. But you don't know what's going to happen next week. Like, I know Callum Mills last year had that ridiculously low break even because he was coming off a 200 and then had a 167, and it looked like he was going to really be priced out of everybody's range. But then he ends up going and scoring like a 70 odd the next week, you know? So it could seem, you know, it could seem like it's all doomsday, could miss him forever if you were to fade him this week. But, you know, Jimby might be with him just around stoppages. And Jimby's a big boy. Jimby likes to tackle. He's a nice tackling. That's where he gets most of his points from. So if Jimby can stick close with him, just around the stoppages, get a tackle, get some repeat stop, and maybe it could be a game where Matty Rowell is the one that pops off more than Anderson this week. You know,
well, it's always a possibility for that.
My big problem is this, that like the back line, there's a few options there. I want to keep a spot open for Tom Mitchell. Not for Tom Mitchell, for Tom Stewart if I can. But my big problem is at 530k in the back line, there's no one. Like there's almost no players that I can pick who I'm happy. Sorry, in the midfield at 530k, there's like no one that I can afford. Show me someone at that price that you would be happy to pick up. Steele's coming off injury. Mills, you don't know where he's playing. He's likely to score a 90 again. Like, and then you've got Brayshaw, who the coach has come out and said, oh, yeah, he's a good player, but, you know, we're thinking he might play forward line a bit more. Like, wait, I have to pay up for someone who's at least established. You know, I have to pay up because all these options, they could be a lot cheaper even next week. Steele might not make his break even. Mills might not break his break even. Maybe Brayshaw does coming off a 150. But it's pretty rough, man.
I mean, exactly. The options at that price point aren't amazing.
I almost have to downgrade an Ashcroft. Like,
but I think you almost have to keep an eye on next week. Like next week, if DCAM is named.
If I
Big J, I'm just going to get some news off my thing. Apparently, Atkins news isn't true, and that apparently he's all right. Apparently, he's fine.
Okay. Well, then Twitter's lying, so that's all right then.
Yes, apparently that was definitely a troll coming from my source.
Okay, that's cool.
No, it happens. It happens. We get this all the time, and that you get like, and it's really hard. It's no different to the AFL media, and it's hard because everybody has sources, and I do appreciate the people who do it for me for absolutely free, and that like obviously we do it. We don't do this for money either, but the people that help us out. I know I've got one in Perth, in Queensland. It's hard for us obviously to get around to games and training and keep on top of it. So you rely on people either messaging you or other people, or you get, just the normal AFL media. And then there's a lot of people naturally on Twitter, which will go with things. And maybe it's just stuff they've heard, just maybe they want their 5 seconds of fame, or, a bit like Scoops and, you throw enough darts at the board and that you might hit one eventually.
Yeah.
I love giving him the old drive-by, but it's what happens in that. So obviously somebody's gone with that today and clearly wasn't true on that. So those people looking at him might have a bit of sigh of relief. But in saying that, like, I think his scoring's good, but his job security is obviously the issue anyway. So, but
exactly.
we can either go to questions here, mate, or if you want me to talk about some of the options I'm looking at, whatever fancies you here, Big J.
What have you got coming up? Who are you thinking of?
Well, and this is where the going just down. So JVR is the big one, unless he gets off his suspension. But
that is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. How is that 2 weeks equivalent to flog Rioli, dog act Rioli off the ball, high concussion? How are those two the same?
Well, let's turn this into a footy discussion. This is my biggest frustration. I can live with JVR being 2. I'd have no problems if there's consistency with this. And this is like, nobody's going to be on the same board with all these decisions because naturally, you wear your heart on your sleeve, and I'm still dirty, obviously, about the Stewart thing last year. But then if that was one of my guys doing it to Stewart, I'd probably have a different reaction because you care about your club and stuff. My issue for say Rioli thing, that pretty well cost the Bombers the game. I know Port supposed to be but reality is it did. So what does Essendon get out of that with Rioli missing the next 3-4 weeks? Essendon, nothing for it. And that. So my thing's always been, it needs to be one or two things. It either has to be the weeks that they get that they miss against that club in future years. So that the actual club is affected. So, and that can become controversial in itself. But does Rioli then? He misses the next 4 games against Essendon, and he plays this week. Same with Stewart, shouldn't be playing this week against Richmond, hypothetically, or should it be a financial penalty, which is actually makes the players rethink. So I know Danger's really against this, and I've heard him speak about it. But sitting there going, okay, we're going to give a player $1,000 fine. Is nothing to them. If let's just say Rioli, that's $100,000 fine, which maybe 50,000 goes directly to Ridley. Now that's insane, I know, but at the same time,
yes, please.
Yeah. But at the same time, is that more likely to deter a player doing something like that than it is say, oh, I'm going to get $1,000, oh, I'm going to get 2 weeks off, and I'm going to get the chance to put
something separate. I would do something separate. I would say bring back the sin bin and say if you've
and that's the other and
like that,
and the other argument to that is but then what happens if it's the wrong call? You get refs making the wrong call, umpires, and we said in the NRL all the time. But at least that does help the affected team in that situation. Right. So there's no right or wrong. So that's the 3 I always throw up because that's up to our listeners. If you're listening here, share your thoughts because I'm always interested to hear this. In the end, we're fans. We've all got different opinions on it, but there's no doubt everybody agrees the current system's broke because we're getting some of the most ridiculous calls and special. And I don't agree a lot of the time with it. I think it's like Mark Stevens and a couple of those other guys that work in the media. But they're always saying, how can we get, who's it? Michael Christensen makes a decision and then it gets sent to the tribunal and then that can be appealed and you get to Thursday, Friday and you have 3 different outcomes in a week for one decision. Like it's the whole system is broken. And was it Andrew Dillon taking over? It's something he has to, that's the main thing. First thing he's got to come in is fix this whole tribunal situation because it's crap.
Well, I mean, the precedent got set with Patrick Cripps last year, right? He got suspended and then, he's a Brownlow chance. Let's try and fight it. And then the AFL was like, that we'll do that too.
And so that's where, like, I've always thrown up the fine thing. Or even if it's Brownlow, I know the NRL I don't know if they still do it. I used to be a big Storm member and go to all the grand finals and stuff. I'm not as much anymore just because of time and stuff. But, like, they used to have the thing where if you get suspended, you'd lose votes depending on how many weeks you'd get and stuff like that. So you're still eligible for the Daily M for them. So it was something that the AFL should have considered for us. Go, okay, Cripps, you cop in 2 weeks. That equates to 4 votes or something. If you're still good enough to win it, you win it. If you're not, well, that's on you for doing that. So I think there's no reason why they can't tinker and change with something. They change rules all the friggin' time. So why can't they do that? And I know, obviously, we're here to talk more Supercoach, but this is very relevant because it frustrates me nonetheless with, my players being out and even in games that we're following. Like, I'm sitting there watching that Port Essendon game, and I felt for the Bombers supporters because I'm like, this is going to completely change. And especially when it's a critical player like, Ridley or last year, Prestia or whoever. Like, this is not me just talking about from a Richmond point of view. It frustrates every supporter out there. So that's because my
you play the game
rant
for the point.
About that.
Yeah, because you play games for the points, and one player is more than happy to take out another player on another team if it means that their team gets the points. All right, they missed a couple of games. Big whoop. They got the crucial element that was winning on the day. I think as Dan says here, he doesn't mind the sin bin call. We'll need officials at every game that can review footage and make a call. So, I mean, we have the footage for the tribunal to make these decisions. We have the footage on the goal line for score reviews. Well, why not use the footage to see if there's a sin bin review?
How many of these are in a game anyway? Like, we're talking of the serious ones. Like, so why can't that third umpire, fourth, whatever we call them these days, the video umpire, look at that? Because I'm just waiting for. I'm surprised actually it doesn't happen more in grand finals. Like,
Yeah,
how does not like a Sydney or Geelong last year, one of them goes, this guy's the main guy. Like, let's just say the Swans go, bang, we're going to play the 23rd best player on our list. Your job is to take Jeremy Cameron out in that first minute. No different to like, and I know you're going to cut
take
like
out the opposition ruckman. They're only
Yeah,
playing
exactly.
one. Let's knock him out or kick him in the
That's
legs
right.
or something, and then see you later.
Yeah. And people argue that I know like the Boston thing, I don't think it was that bad what Danger did, but that we saw it a lot more through the 80s. But I'm surprised it still doesn't happen. Like, you get one chance maybe of winning that premiership.
That's
like,
right.
who cares if you sit like, mate, we're playing you today. We need you to run through a couple of players. I'm shocked it doesn't happen more.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
It's interesting. It is actually. It is. Yeah, the way they act in the grand finals, it's almost like they're afraid that they might get sent off or something. Like, mate, there is no sin bin rule.
No send off.
Go for
Alex,
it. You can't leave anything
Alistair
out
Lynch. Like, who cares? I'm retiring. 10 weeks. Give me 20 weeks. I don't give a stuff. And
Yeah.
Like,
there. Yeah, look at Lloydie. Lloydie goes, concussed his Saul. He gets 9 games.
Exactly,
Psych,
John.
I've
I
retired.
agree, mate. That's the one I just mentioned. Lynch, like, and he could have done some serious damage because he was playing his last game. No fucks given, and that the language. But that's the that's the reality of this, and it's gonna happen. Like, the AFL continues to try to make this a non-issue or scrambles over it, and it's gonna happen in the grand final one day coming up, and all of a sudden they're gonna be like egg on the face. You had plenty of time to come up with a system, and you're going to have some gun player stretched off 5 minutes into the game, and there's going to be like, oh, well, we should have brought the sin bin rule in, and we should have done something to stop this, and they're not. So apologize for the rant, people, because I get pretty passionate about this because it just doesn't change. Like, just Andrew Dillon, get me part of your AFL friggin' committee.
I mean, they
can't
make
make it happen.
They've got 4 umpires now. They can't even work out like head-high hits. They can't work out free kicks or anything. How are they going to go get someone to be a sin bin operator? Like,
Matt, to Matt's comment, and to 99% of them, I agree with you, Matthew.
Yes.
However, that we've seen it. There's 1% in those teams. There's players still around. It's no different society. Think your work. There's always that one prick that you either work with or and you can name it on each team. Like Tom Lynch is for us, Richmond. Like, and it's more clumsy than anything. Maybe it's not because of that, but like, it would not surprise me him running through somebody, and that's the way he plays, and it's always the case. Now, and as you're right, most players wouldn't. But what happens if a club went to like the guy who was like the 24th, 25th player, mate? We need you to play today. We want you to do this, and that they're not going to miss the chance of winning, a premiership by not accepting like this. And I know you'd probably say most coaches wouldn't instruct that, but there's probably 1 or 2 coaches out there which it would not surprise me at all. So.
You reckon Dimmer Hardwick is one of them?
No, I don't think Dimmer. I was more thinking of more Clarko. I think Clarko would have no hesitation tapping one of the North players on the shoulder and saying,
if we were contending, if it was the game that got us into the top 8, like, or wins us a semi-final, I could see it. Hey, he's going to do it. But at the moment where the club is, I don't think it's going to happen.
So so sorry to tap the super coach chat from that, but
good.
So that's where it is. So JVR's the one on the cutting block for me. To Weddle, I think that's the obvious one, unless for whatever reason Weddle doesn't get dropped. So
you mean get dropped?
What?
You mean you said he doesn't get dropped? You said
no. If he's not, So if he doesn't get dropped, that's the easiest one, which makes me about 130k or whatever I've got in the bank there. So that's the thought, and then holding. Now I could potentially bring in Steele this week and then the following week bring in Mills, or do I wait the week and then it's Zach Merritt Stewart or something like that? Like, so it's because I obviously don't have that any more boost left. It's and the other big one is Walsh. Actually, Walsh is very much on my agenda too. So Merritt, Walsh, Stewart are the 3 that I would like, and I want 2 of them. Maybe it's probably Walsh and Stewart now, just because the way it's going to work out with dual position with Walshy. So, effectively, can I wait a week? Hopefully, Ashcroft gets, a boost this week, and then just because of the injuries Essendon have, and then get the better premiums. Like Mills and Steele could be fantastic for people, and I know why a lot of people are looking at them. However, Walsh, if he likely picks up forward status, and then we know what Stewart can do and the way he's averaging. Would I much prefer them for, what's that, still 15, 16 weeks compared to a Steele or Mills for the one extra week? And I'm still going to get, it's not, Ashcroft's score for that. So it might even just nullify.
Yeah, I think Walsh is going to get it.
I
think Walsh is one of
think so.
Walsh and Gorn and a couple of others too, I think.
Yeah, I think Walsh and Gorn are fairly safe to get it.
How much is
because
Walsh?
the way they're starting it.
Walsh has got 6'10", something like that.
Let's answer some questions while we're here. Got some people asking stuff in the chat.
Mike was asking who the best. I assume that means VC.
Girlfriend options.
Best grand final options. Let's talk
best grand final.
Girlfriend options. They're like, what?
Best grand final. It's got to be Essendon Richmond, man. You gotta, let's.
I don't know. North Melbourne in the grand final would be all right. Even if we lose, we made a grand final. So, yeah. you have to win the final before you make the grand final.
Actually, on that, as much as I want the Tigers on that, I really hope the D's make it, because how about like the long wait? You finally get into the grand final as a supporter, and then they go play it in Perth because it's COVID.
Yeah,
I'd like to see their supporters get the opportunity to watch them at the grand final. So that's
why, so they can bring their cheese boards to the game.
Yeah, their cheese boards and their all their snow gear. So I had a laugh. My best mate Dave, a couple of weeks ago when the D's lost, his mate got him to dress up in all his snow gear and that to say, okay, I'm off to the ski fields. But that's a little soft spot there for the D's, for supporters. Maybe not the D's, but their supporters. That's so best options. I guess VC, your Friday nights, Stewart and Anderson for those people who own either of them. I still like, because Madden for me is my loophole option, and he is playing on the last game on the Sunday, so that opens up really everybody for me. And the obvious one is Clary into Bont.
Mate, it's just juicy. Like I think Tom Stewart's going to go big. Maybe Anderson. There's some options at the start, but you can't pass up Clary against the Dogs. Really, like they're going to tag him maybe, but.
Abdul's been so on that this week. The next 4 weeks, Clary's not going over 100. I'm like, please, mate.
Yeah,
please.
I saw that tweet. It was like, this team tags. Like, mate, he's at the NCG.
Yeah. I can say that because he's a mate of mine, so I can dig into him.
100%. I reckon Callum Mills against Freo.
Yeah, that's why everyone's hot on him.
So Sydney have got 2 people concussed, and they're both defenders this week. So I don't know if Mills is going to be the best pick, because he might be relegated a little bit to that back line. Who is it? Tom McCartan and Peter Laddams are not playing this week. So we could get
Peter Laddams isn't a defender.
No, Peter Laddams is the ruckman. So Sean Darcy might be the pick this week. He's going to play McAndrew. Right. So he's going to have fun.
McAndrew, that was a name.
McAndrew's going to play.
I've been thinking about McAndrew.
No.
He's still
thanks, Julie.
Rookie.
Julie's just giving me a shout out. Yes, I'm still on the limb slip and that. There was the discussion on our podcast on Monday how crook I've been this week. I'm still trudging through with work and stuff, but cheers, man. Julie. Thank you.
I've had a rough. If we talk about weeks, I've had a rough week, but we ended up accomplishing a lot, so I'm pretty happy there.
Oh, that's good, mate.
We're talking about I can boost and to bring in 3 premiums as I'm bringing in Gorn and deciding between Mills, Steele, and Brayshaw. Which 2 should he choose? Between Mills, Steele, and Brayshaw.
I'm more on Mills and Steele. When people say this,
I think so.
Can you give us a little bit of an idea on your buy structure or buy stuff like that? Because it gets difficult with that. So I think it's Steele and Mills do have the same buy. Not a lot of people have the that many players missing around 12. Actually, they're all the same buy this, so that's fine with Brayshaw as well. I keep thinking it was last year where Brayshaw had the different buy. So I think it's a much of a muchness. For whatever reason, I'm just not warm on Brayshaw. I just can't.
Likewise.
Yeah, I feel like it's the almost the rise of Sarong has kind of hurt Brayshaw that way, where yes, Brayshaw's been able to not be as influential, but then also he's not been as influential. There was down patches last year that we saw where he was scoring, sub hundreds, and he had a big game last week, but he's almost doing the same things again.
He just bullied the Hawks at home.
Yeah.
Their fixture is horrific.
Yeah.
Like,
it is so bad.
Sydney away, Cats at home, D's away, Tigers, Giants away, Bombers, Bulldogs away, Carlton, Collingwood away,
Sydney, Geelong,
then play the Swans again, then play Geelong, then play the Lions. Like, it's the most horrific draw for Fremantle.
Literally the easiest game.
I can't warm to him at all because of that.
Literally the easiest game, and the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
is the Tigers.
8, 9,
that
10,
is
11, 12 games. In this next round, 12 games.
I know.
It's Richmond at home or
the Giants
away. Literally.
Yeah.
That's it. If you're going to talk about Richmond, you also have to have us as well because of but
I'd probably trust you guys a bit more than us at the moment. So that's why I'd say I'm not. Like, I don't mind Steele. I still think he's got. It's hard because I know we've had this discussion this week, and I think he can still. He's done in the past. He can go 110. Is it just the way Ross Lyon's playing them that they're probably a bit more even across the board? But there's 110's not a huge amount to Steele. And Mills can be anything. Like, Mills could seriously go 95 flat, or he could go out the box and go 125. At least I've got a little bit more confidence with Mills just because of Sydney's draw than what I do Brayshaw. But that's where I'm sitting there going, is it better, mate, to, this is Murph, is it? Yep. To maybe only do 2 and then consider one of those other options like, you've got to plan for Walsh. I don't know if you've got him already, but he definitely has to be in your plans.
Yeah, I think as well, to further your point about Steele, I think one of the things that was holding St Kilda back a little bit was that it was the Steele carry show. So now spreading the ball around a little bit more, I think ends up being better for them.
The rise of Crouch, Sinclair's running through there more. Heck, he was playing deep forward at the end of the game last week. Steele
kicked a goal, did all right.
Yeah, I know, but he was playing against North Melbourne.
Yeah,
so
they didn't need him. They really
didn't
need him to. So it's
Kameni's back this week, so we'll see how that works out for him. Let's bust through these questions. We've got 20 minutes or so before the team sheets. Let's go. James O'Donnell's debuting for the Dogs. Do you know anything about him, Swizz?
Literally nothing. I think I don't know. He did play cricket.
Yeah,
I know that much.
People were saying he got.
That's my wheelhouse.
Yeah, he got picked up like 35 days ago or something as a Category B rookie. Apparently now he's playing. So Bevo loves his mature ages.
He looks skinny though. In this picture.
Parish, a hold or a trade? What do you guys reckon?
It's a calf. I'd trade him.
Trade. If it's a calf.
I hate calves. Calves. Obviously, I love my calves, but in terms of pulling a calf and having a calf injury, they're probably the most recurring of the soft tissues, even more than hammies. So, I can't trust his return to be soon. And even if he does come back, I think there's a risk that he could redo that calf again. And I'm pretty sure he had calf complaints early in the preseason as well. So
I've seen that a little bit with LDU as well. Kind of had a bit of a calf issue, and he's come back and he's still not kind of playing how he used to be playing.
So I'd trade him, Duke. I'm good to see you, by the way. I didn't say hi to you, mate.
Yeah, my wife's like, Parish is out. I'm like, I literally messaged you that before. And she's like, yeah, but it's confirmed now. And I was like, it was confirmed the moment I saw it.
We don't want your rumors, mate. We want the real. We want it straight from the horse's mouth. And I reckon Paris is going, by the way, end of the season. Global.
How you doing, mate? Thanks for coming on.
I love Global.
Looking at Bontempelli into Dawson for me. It works. Bontempelli to Dawson. I reckon Sean Darcy might be a bit of a trick. Hopefully he's over his injuries, but if you don't have the big boys or want to do something different, he's definitely one there. It almost feels like Oliver's so certain that you can just pick someone else as like a muck around pick, be that a Tom Stewart or whatever. Because I think the stats against Carlton for midfield is actually pretty favourable for Carlton. So just have to be a bit careful there. You don't want to pick the Bont and then he goes like a 110 or a 115, putting your hopes and dreams on a stronger midfield. So
yeah,
just
I
have to
don't
be a
really
bit
think it
careful.
worries the Bont.
No?
He'll just...
If he's got a guy like, because I know Hippo was in the chat and I was listening to Hippo. How are you, Hippo? If you guys haven't subbed to Hippo, hop on over to Hippo. And I reckon no Parish benefits Merritt. To be honest, I think Merritt scores better without Parish in the side.
Merritt struggles when he gets attention, and now he's the only breadwinner in that midfield. So they're going to put someone on him.
That's what I'd be. Yeah, agree. No, I went and watched them last year. I can't remember if Parish played that game up there. I know Merritt had an absolute blinder up in Brisbane, but
I would not be bringing Merritt in this week. If Merritt was
an option, it's the worry now. Like I'm sure if you're the Lions, Jared Berry surely goes straight to Merritt.
Yeah. That is the big concern. In most cases, in most games, when you're playing against a team that isn't happy to tag, like I know the Lions are happy to tag, they're happy to send Berry to someone. That's what they did against us last year as well, when Merritt was tearing him a new one early in the game. They sent Berry to him. In most cases, though, if he's up against a team that doesn't tag, we see actually that there's almost like a 20+ improvement in terms of his scoring without Parish in the side. But this week, I think he's not going to do as well as he otherwise would do with the attention that he's going to get. I'm actually looking forward to getting Merritt in very soon.
Post by Merritt is the way to go. It's always post by. Who are they playing post by, Joe? Just roll off some of those names.
Oh, our run on the way home is actually really good.
It's pretty good.
We play West Coast twice, and I think we also play your mob twice too. So it's we've had a tough stretch now. I mean, we've played Melbourne, Geelong, Port, Brisbane this week, Richmond next week. Like we've had a rough patch, but then it opens up a little bit. So
hey guys,
getting Merritt.
We've got 57 people watching, which is bloody amazing. Thanks for doing that. Smash that like button, yeah. Get the notifications and things like that kind of going around the YouTube sphere. So that'd be fantastic if you guys can do that for us.
Yeah. Same with us guys, with my guys, Super Coaching Side, especially mine. I'll probably be doing my team one and my live thing about 8 p.m. tonight. So feel free to like that. I always say that, liking our channels, and even if you have friends who can't watch, subscribe, Centre Bounce, and Super Coach Insider 100. That helps by more than anything. If you've got multiple accounts, whatever, subscribe. Don't need to watch the content. We prefer you to watch the content, but
of course.
Tommy, how's it going? Good to see you, mate. Mate, losing a grand final sucks big time. Freo tragic. It is tragic.
I was there for that one, Dan. Your Freo Hawthorn grand final.
Oh, that was so bad. They stayed at the parade.
Shannon Hearn is out this week as well, so it's going to be interesting.
In this week, Owen, Noah Anderson or Clary. Oh, come on! How can you not have Clary in the? He is as safe as houses. Outside of 2008 in the global
anybody who goes crisis. Anderson's been listening to the Supercoach Godfather way too much. And you know what he'll do, and you know what I think he does. And if you're watching this, Abs, I know your game. You sit there and talk it up, and then everybody jumps on Anderson, and then you bring in Clary, and you're like, well, you know.
The recruiters came back and said, no.
This is the way.
That's right. That's how you get the rankings up.
Yeah.
Yes, Murph. Yeah. It's a big. It is a no.
Yeah.
And as Dan says, Mills has a higher floor, even if he's playing defensive, so that should be good.
Yeah.
But he is saying also that the Saints are getting forwards back, so that means should be more on the ball for Steele, which could be really
Is King
good.
out this week? I remember reading something that's saying that.
Yeah, King will not play this week.
Yeah.
But
Steele was was the one I was more considering if I was going to bring one this week. I could do the double, but I'm more interested now. Walsh's things change everything. Global Swizz knows how much power has been tickling my. I've been talking about him for a few weeks, and at least he's taking kick-ins. He's got the role. Just the other price, like a few people have been asking me still, should we can still consider him? And it's really hard now when you've got like guys like Doherty at that same price. And even your Sinclairs, maybe Sicily not as much, but yeah, there's a group of defenders there. Jake Lloyd, I'm actually big on. I'm watching an extra 30K from Powell.
Let me go through these defenders, right? 500. I totally agree with you. 500K.
Thanks, John. Yeah.
Is
our 2.5 hour marathon.
Yeah. But let's go with 500, 540K or under, right?
Yeah, let's do that.
Sicily, actually, no, let's go. Even Adam Sard's like cheap now. So many players, man. So many players that are just
we're talking. Well, that's the thing. If you don't have Z-Ball, this is your last chance to get him.
Yeah.
Like we've been so big on him all season. Break even 27. He's just absolutely seagulling that defense so much. You've got to get him. Jake Lloyd, so Powell's actually 527 now. So that's like Jake Lloyd's 4K more. And Lloyd's back to his seagulling best.
Correct.
So I've been definitely
recommending. No one else in the back line.
They've got no, exactly. And the Swans aren't playing as well as they have been in the past. So yeah, he's seen plenty of it. So he's the obvious one. And then Doherty, as long as you can trust him to stay on the park with everything going on, but his last two scores have been really good again. So they're obvious ones around that Powell price.
He's burnt me. He has burnt me to a crisp. I can't go back to Doherty again.
And my left field option, but I hate the buy, is Dan Houston at 540. Like that guy just continues to get the job done. Ridiculous. And he's owned by
he's a burn man.
Mate, and that's the problem. Because everybody has been burnt by him in the past, including myself. I won't do it. But the problem is I think there's two people with him in the top 1% that have him and just getting rewarded every week. So if you want the ultimate pod, he is that. And he'll probably just keep I can see it happening because nobody jumps on. And then next year, everyone's going to be like, oh, yeah, Houston, he averaged like 110 last year. Let's get on. And then he'll burn us come round 3. Guaranteed.
Yeah, it's a tough one. This week and next week and the week after. I think everyone's got Dawson. Everyone's got Dacos. But the rest are so cheap. I
think Dan said the problem is it's the buys and that with those guys. Because like the round 15 buy is the Blues. So that's horrific for your forward line. Not as bad for your defense, depending if where you've got Sheasel and Zeeble playing in there. So it's it's a hard one to balance out depending on who you've got. I think round 12 I'm missing Sinclair. So that's an easier one to kind of get in there, but then who are you like your round 12? So it's Brisbane, that's no one. Fremantle, Ryan, which is not bad, but then you got St Kilda and then Sydney. So that's where Jake Lloyd may be a better option. And that's where Will Power can see why the love for him, because it's that random buy where nobody's got any play from them outside of probably Stewart, maybe Anderson at the moment.
Yeah. But that's where like even just picking up a Stewart or a Powell doesn't hurt too much because it's only best 18 anyway.
Yeah.
So, you've got two guys scoring 110. Well, that's two guys scoring 110. You just picks which one, so it's not a huge loss. I got to force Tom Stewart in my team. Yeah. Waiting for team sheets.
Thoughts on Dylan Williams this week? Since I don't trust Weddle or Atkins and having to go early on Drury, I only using $500 reduce in the bank though. So Dylan Williams, I mean,
he's a huge miss, man. I wish I had him in my team.
I hate the sub back
and made him sub against West Coast. What a prick.
I know.
And then you couldn't pick him because you're like, oh well, this guy's only doing like 30 or 40. What if he gets subbed off this week? Because that was always a possibility. And it was a bit like Samson Ryan not jumping. Like somebody said the other day, there's been no rookies, and Dylan Williams and Samson Ryan absolutely killing it. Yeah, there is real rookies. Unfortunately, nobody jumped on them. And that's just just because
I got Samson Ryan.
Yeah, well done.
I had him at R2 for the last 2 weeks.
Yes, looking good there. And some people could have done that, like Radigalia, Samson Ryan, R2, R3, with Madden and loopholing in. Wow, what a great situation.
100%. Like the thing with The thing with Samson Ryan, though, we knew that he was going to play. It's not like he was dropped like
I
Williams
had him
was.
in
You know what
all
I
my
mean?
starting teams. I had him all starting teams, all preseason, and then it's like, well, I need to find 15K. And you become Madden since you're not playing. But yeah, the Williams one just hurts so much. So I don't like it now because I just feel like it's a miss. I get why people want to do it because he seems safer than Atkins, but his job security still isn't great. Like one bad game, he's out the door for Port, or they make him sub. That's the reality of it. So I think you've just got to say that's one I missed.
Yeah.
What's Elise asking there?
So West Coast has come out and said they're not going to open an MSD pick this year.
Oh,
that's very interesting.
So we lose one.
Yeah.
Pricks.
So maybe if they've got one already, they've got one already, but they're not going to MSD Cully.
Still have to.
Lisa was asking here. Still have Rad at R2. Oh, sorry. Yeah, still have Rad at R2. Thoughts on waiting another week and trading in a defense for a mid? I think Max Gorn is at the best price he'll ever be a whole year.
100%.
And if you don't pick Max Gorn, you're in a bit of trouble. Even if he gets forward status, you can always move him forward and look to pick up like an English or someone later.
Yeah,
it's only 510K. Like, he's so cheap. But, yeah, he's going to drop over 100, got a break even of 80. This is the time when he starts moving up. And forward eligibility for Max Gorn is bloody fantastic. You've got to get him in if you don't. Move Radigalia on field in the forward line if you have to. Put him on the bench if you're not happy, or just trade him out. But Max Gorn is the pick as a ruckman this week.
Yeah, the only way I'm going to get Gorn in is if I side swap somebody to bring him in whenever it is. But because I've got the two rucks, like this is the problem Chris and I were arguing. Like Chris has used probably 4 or 5 trades in the rucks this year, but now he's got Gorn sitting there. And he'll be able to, move him at the forward line. So that's worked out for those people. But at the same time, it's just costing so many trades.
Well, that's it. And then with Darcy Cameron potentially getting Darcy Cameron coming back, Gorn coming back, I could end up running 2 ruckmen in the forward line and then have 2 ruckmen in the ruck line. So
exactly,
work out all right. Joe, pull up the team sheet. Get ready.
No, I'm on the AFL website now.
Okay. Cool.
Because I started with Wits, thinking I'm going to have the safety, the stability. I don't have to mess around with trades. And all of a sudden, Wits became Grundy because of the late outs. And then Grundy became... then I traded out Grundy to get to get Cogs and Day in. And I was rocking Samson Ryan R2.
I love how the 2 injury faults in Darcy and English are the ones that are probably the biggest locks.
Funniest thing
ever.
Pretty funny stuff.
I hate it.
I wish I had started English, though. He's the one guy every week. And maybe I'll look to trade Marshall to him during the buys, but he's the one guy every week that just punches.
Well, Marshall's a worry still this week as well.
Yeah.
At least
that's
he's not
why
playing.
I've got Samson Ryan hanging at R3 this week because I'm worried. All right. Let me just present. We've got the first game.
All righty, let's go.
So... let's hide the comment. Sorry. All right, we got Trent Cotchin in. Cumberland also dropped. What's up with it? What does this kid have to do, Swizz?
It's that negative 13. If the coaches was like, no, see you later, mate. I've got you in my super coach team. Yeah, I'll put the captain on you. 13. Negative 13, mate. That's
oh my
tough. God. No one really for Geelong. People didn't have Brad Close. Is Nevitt playing? Where's Nevitt playing? Because he was the one that was supposed to be named, right? Wow, they did Jai Clark dirty. Hey, let's get him to play, and we made him the emergency this week.
Oh, Jai Clark sub.
That'll be the sub, guaranteed now.
Yeah, that's rough. I mean, they can still change things around, but I hate when that happens.
No, he will be the sub. They can't, unless there's a late out. Which Geelong do late outs.
Yeah, they do. Tyler Young's on the bench. I mean, on the emergency if there's anyone's got him. So, Jaden Short in the middle, which is interesting. Here we go. Here's the big ones. Yep. Suns, no Constable. Thanks. Yep.
Where is, honestly, Charlie has assaulted...
Coach is trolling us, man.
Stuart Dew's grandfather or something. I don't know.
Yeah. And it's funny because in the interviews, he came out and said, oh, yeah, Constable's been really good. He's been pushing for a spot. And we're really happy. Like, we just got to find a spot for him. No. He's
not even on the emergency.
He's not even an emergency. You hate him. Like, get stuffed. Is Chesser
Cully
back?
injured.
No Chesser, which is interesting. I know a few people had
He's
him.
on the no. Well, he's on the emergency. He still could be sub.
Emergencies, yeah, but not like named. So
No, but he could be sub.
Mac
they need to make
Andrew
him
is
sub.
in.
So
So
he only
that's good.
plays like half a game anyway. Make him the sub.
Yeah, so I guess it's good that Atkins keeps his spot in the side with Day, Andrew, Powell. You know, these guys are all in, and Rory Atkins is still keeping his spot in the side. So that can be.
Still have Ben King, Swizz?
What was that? Ben King?
Does he still have Ben King? Ben? Didn't he pick Ben? Doesn't he have Ben King in his team?
I don't think so. Maybe.
No? Oh, okay. I thought maybe.
I probably watch Chris's more than what I do Ben's, to be completely honest. I don't look at guys ranked lower than me.
Nat 5 out. What is this?
Yeah, he'll be the sub.
Happily, 150.
5's going to be the sub.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Will Gould's back. So one more game, I think, and then he's off the.
What about Hickey? I love Hickey as a player. He's very good.
Yeah. So maybe how do you reckon Sean Darcy over or under 110?
Hickey's not that bad of a ruck, bud.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
If it was Laddams or somebody else or Matt, any other option they had, I thought, Darcy could be in for another field day.
Yeah.
Hickey's, I know Hickey will be probably a little bit underdone, but he's actually not a bad ruck.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And I like it. Callum Mills named.
I've got to get on my draft waivers here and pick up Tom Hickey.
Yeah. Let's keep going down, Joe.
Yep. So there's nothing.
Not really.
There.
Oh,
Cunnington dropped. This vlog should have had more than 2. The lucky bastard. I hate him. Greenwood is in.
Yeah. So it's going to be funny.
What does that mean?
Team has a M Bergman and the other team's going to have an M Bergman. So it's going to be interesting for us. Sheasel in the center. I don't think it's going to happen too much. He'll rotate through the positions. Yeah. Drury's named again, which is great. Not too bad.
They're still rocking with Tickle in the ruck.
Yeah. Will Gould is apparently on the bubble. So do we go balls to the wall and go Will Gould on the bubble? Probably not, but it'd be kind of cool.
Probably not. Well, a lot of changes here for the Hawks. Jeez. Fergus Green's been dropped, but everyone should have got rid of him by now.
I know some people in the Discord were saying they better hope he's dropped because they've got to get rid of him next week and he can't lose cash. So, that's good. Cam McKenzie's back. Blank's back. Yeah, so their defensive line's not terrible anymore. Seamus Mitchell's still named on the field, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's good. Turner, Harms, Jordan, Hibbert, Spargo. Yeah, nothing crazy here.
But Weddle keeps his spot. So go back.
Keeps his spot.
Yeah, Weddle keeps his spot.
Yeah.
Where is he named? He's named
back pocket.
Oh yeah, cool. Well, that's easy then. That's fine. No,
Melbourne.
Even May.
Miller and Miles are not brothers.
Melbourne's emergency
they are
list.
not brothers, Corey.
Melbourne's emergency list because they haven't dropped JVR yet. So who's it's probably me, Tom McDonald. Okay.
Yeah, Kane Baldwin. He's going to be playing key defense. He'll be replacing Ridley. What? We lose Kelly as well?
Yeah, Kelly's out, mate. You didn't know about Kelly's injury?
God.
Brisbane, here we go.
Oh my
massive,
God.
Mate.
We don't have a back line.
We
don't have a back line.
You do. You've got the gorilla, Zerk Thatcher.
We just got Zerk Thatcher and Baldwin, who is a forward.
It's all right. You got Red Montgomery emergency.
So good. That's so good.
Oh, man. So Harry Sharp keeps his spot, but Wilmot has now been relegated to the interchange because Zorko's back. So I thought Zorko was supposed to be 3 weeks, and apparently it's 1 week. So I don't know how that works out, but yeah.
Oh, it's brilliant.
This is the saddest backline
that's so good
I have ever seen.
Can I name it? Oh, they don't have Heppel in there. That would have just topped it off.
Oh, mate, if we had Heppel, jeez. He's here. He's on the interchange. He'll
play.
Chat on.
Davy's playing. I'm
in
good for his 30 this week.
Love it.
So.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh my God, yeah. So yeah, if you have any, if you got Lockie Neal, chucking a VC on Lockie Neal could be an
Or
interesting
Dunkley.
option.
Dunkley. Dunkley's going to murder some people this week.
Dunkley without Parrish at home, and he's going to get a lot of score assists because we have
Berry's gonna go straight to Zach Merritt and say, "See you later."
Exactly.
He's a 40.
Exactly.
Maybe not a 40. I reckon sub 100, probably between the 90 to 80 range, around there. That's my prediction.
Yeah, but Dunkley VC seems alive. Him or Neil. Zorko in. Does that have anything to? Does that do anything to impact McKenna scoring, perhaps, or
probably,
or Wilmot scoring?
I think it's negative to both, but I think we found a little bit last week that actually not having Zorko in hurt them a little bit because they were focused a bit more than what they are normally. So maybe him in versus some other people frees that up a little bit. It's just another avenue of scoring though, so it's not great.
Setterfield name on the ball. Do I keep him?
I got to name him somewhere. Well, you got to look at the break evens, mate. Is he going to rebound? Maybe not. Here we go.
Kemp dropped. Kerno dropped. Honey dropped. Cottrell back. That's good. And Owi's back. That's good. Trelaw injured. McNeil sub.
People were saying Hollins was going to get dropped this week, but he's still named.
What?
So
Bailey Smith named in the guts.
Oscar Baker's still there every week, so I'm happy.
That's good. Yeah, for sure.
So we confirmed that O'Donnell plays backline?
Yeah, no, he's a defender.
Okay, that's good.
He plays cricket. He has to be a keeper.
Maybe. Well, that's it. It's Alex Keith 2.0.
Yeah, Alex Keith.
Category B player, plays
we
defender.
had him down at our club, Big J. We had him down at our club doing training session before he went back to footy.
Yeah.
He's a very good cricketer. Actually, I did my first coaching course, my level 1 with Alex. He's actually a ripper.
Like Adelaide or something?
Yeah, and he was listed. I think he was listed at with the Suns at the time, but he was playing cricket. But yeah, no, we did our coaching course together. Ripping guy. Is Alex?
Yeah, Vin here is asking about Vin's asking about Baslenka if he's a possible trade-in.
I've talked him up this week. The hard thing he was until we heard about Walsh. But I don't mind it. He's the right price. He's not a bad price.
Look where Walsh is named again. He starts at half forward and then pushes into the midfield every time.
That's what they do. So and he just runs straight up.
Yeah,
and gets it there. So he is 100% getting forward status.
That is beautiful.
Doherty
named on the ball.
I don't know if I put him in my forward line though. That's the only thing. If I had the spare trades, maybe.
Oh no, Walsh is
at like 610K. I don't know if Walsh if I can facilitate that.
Okay, we move on.
Camma's back.
This is Sunday game, so these are extended lists. Camma in. Campbell. I always get nervous every time freaking Campbell is named. I think it's just pretty like, much. Don't do it to me, please, Ross. I
think they have to do it this week. If Marshall's out, then they have to put Campbell in. Otherwise, they get fined. I think that happened to Ben Brown or someone a couple of years ago against North Melbourne, and they just put him straight from like not even on the team sheets into the game, and they got fined like $30,000 for it. So, yeah,
right.
Dawson's in the middle again. Not if that matters too much, but
nothing crazy. And yeah, Camma, for those who held on to him, congratulations. Sinclair playing his 150th. That's pretty good.
Yep.
Will they get the win for him against the Crows away?
They're pretty tough, the Crows, man.
They are tough. And exactly as course it says Cam Needy on field.
Oh, of course. I think he's told me he's going to play anyway, so.
Yeah, they needed him. They really needed him after he brings the ball to ground.
Kept him.
All right, Collingwood. Frampton's injured, so that sucks. He was important.
Ash Johnson.
They're bringing Begg, the backup ruck. McInnes, Bianco.
They're desperate for Darcy Cameron to come back next week. Next week or the week after.
100%. Yeah.
The
thing is with Darcy, you have to bring him straight away.
Yeah,
because of the
low break even.
Yeah, that's right.
So
and he's cheap though. He's cheap. Sub 500K is pretty achievable. I mean, you go like Baker and some money and Wilmot, and then you've got Darcy Cameron and a downgrade.
And this becomes the issue with you guys like
Not yet. They're doing the talk with it today, I think.
Yeah, but this becomes the issue when you're trying to bring in Bailey Smith. I like Bailey Smith, but we're talking about Gawn, Walsh, Darcy Cameron. There's so many friggin' forward options.
On top of our Tarantos and Dunkleys and Rosies.
Well, that's right. Taranto, Dunkley, you're not getting rid of anyway. Potentially, Canelio. No, bugger it. I'm going to put Charlie Cameron in my draft team this week. Pick him up from the waivers. He could go huge again.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. There's probably 4 or 5 guys that are locked, and then I'm even playing up. I've only got 17 trades, and I have 5 spots left to fill, so it's not fantastic. 4. Oh yeah, 5 spots. 5 spots. So it's not fantastic, but I can play around with it, get a couple of 1-up, 1-downs, and looking to even have like the potential of a Sheasel or a Will Day like roaming on the bench. Just with so many good players being around at that 500k mark. Darcy Cameron, you can bring in. If I had, like Joe has, Ryan at R2, I'd be looking at Gawn this week.
Yeah, I'm getting Gawn this week. Yeah.
There's a lot of really good players. Just make sure that you've got your big boys like Dawson, Laird, Oliver, Bont, even the day cost kind of. You've got these 600k guys, and you should be able to fill out the rest of your team. And maybe have 1 bench player. If I go down to 4 or 5 trades at the end of it, that's okay for me. Maybe even 3. I could probably swing 3 trades if I've got some bench cover.
Yeah. There's the people who pick Ralston, unfortunately, he got injured during the week in training as well.
Sucks.
So, that's why there's definitely not going to be a Ralston anytime soon, unfortunately. So that appears to be a dead pick. David Michaels, whoever plays ruck for the Pies gets injured. DCAM, Cox, McStay, and now Frampton. Yeah, literally. Like
it's the Grundy curse. It is 100% the Grundy curse. And has Grundy not missed a game this year either? That's a great question.
No, Grundy has not missed a game this year.
Just answering.
Always going to happen. We'll play 23 this year.
Yeah, I would offload LDU. Something's up with him, and I think this kind of crucial time is the right time to get rid of him. I love the player. I think he's fantastic, but you've got LDU at what? Let me just quickly check.
Fake Primo.
Like 490 or something, isn't he? Something real ridiculous now.
Has he really dropped that far? No, 516.
Oh, 516.
So I would not be playing him in my team. Break even of 161. The first 2 games were fantastic. And then he kind of did his leg. It was out round 3, and then he just hasn't been able to bounce back. So
he's projected to drop to 490 this week.
Don't
490 in there.
Offload him while you can. Don't be like Joe and hold Setterfield for 3 extra weeks and see him drop down to 400k. Get rid of him now. 15k gets you like Mills. So, and Mills is a much more potential scoring player, is what I'll say. Maybe not better player, but better potential.
Yeah. Walsh or Oliver this week is don't care about round 15 buy anymore.
I think Walsh is technically more important. If the plan is you're going to end up with both of them, it's a different story. But now that Walsh is going to end up with forward status, he now becomes nearly the must-own player. What's he average? What is he averaging? Walsh, I know he's only played like 4 games, but let's see here. Carlton.
Are you saying that because he is, because of the potential scoring and playing in the forward line? Is that what you're saying?
Well, he's averaging 114 with his role at the moment, and that puts him as the second best forward in Supercoach behind Taranto. Like he's only 0.3 ahead of Dunkley, but so you're talking about F2, potentially F1, because I think Walsh will go above Taranto. Yeah. So it's like, Oliver is probably, M1, 2, 3, but you're talking about, when you can have potentially a guy in your forward line that's going to be averaging 120, it's really hard to ignore.
Absolutely.
It's rough. And that's the difference. That's going to be the difference come the later part of the season when you're playing, my Sam Walsh in the forward line scoring me 130 or 120, and you've got a Canelio who has a bad game and scores a 90 or an 80, like we saw last week, or a few of these other kind of players, right?
I'm pretty sure I got muted in one of my draft chats this week because I have Sam Walsh I have Walsh in draft. I'm like, oh look, I've got F1 boys, F1, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. He's 100% F1. I don't know how I'm going to be able to afford him next week unless
these players come through, man. I've got this really bad feeling that the mid-season draft's not going to give us much. Last year, I think we had a lot of teams picking up players, but yeah, I just don't know. There's 6 teams at the moment. North probably open up another player. There'll be a couple others, but yeah, let's say 6 or 8 players that get MSD. Probably
So
a Hawthorn play someone because they
Hawthorn
love
will.
players.
But North have proven in the past that they won't necessarily. They'll go best long-term option like they did with Edwards
Yeah,
here.
we've got to ditch that though. We need to keep forward.
Yeah. See, Richmond are always a chance because they've proven in the past they'll bring somebody in and play them. So that wouldn't surprise me. Giants are another one in that sort of boat. So you could see sort of it's not necessarily your Hawks and West Coast do it, but you sort of your next level up, your Richmond and your GWSs, and always a massive chance for a ruck as well. A couple of these clubs. So your Swans, Pies are probably going to be the wrong timing, but yeah, there's always that ability that 102k ruck gets in.
Yeah, as Corey says, what we're talking about the DPPs. Bont last year was a massive in. The same with people that went early on Luke Parker in the forward line. A lot of guys were averaging like 80s and 90s, and he came in and averaged like a 105, and it was just a huge difference. The more midfielders you can put in your Supercoach team, the better. Unless it's like Jeremy Cameron and he goes 180 or something.
More midfielders and rucks, and we could have a lot of rucks. We could have. You could have English, Marshall. You could have English, Marshall, Gawn, Darcy, Cameron. You could literally have 4 ruckmen in your team, and then you could also have, like it's. I don't have the space. We've got Taranto, Dunkley, Rosie, Goulden, Cornelio, and then you've got, Walsh, Gawn will get forward status, Darcy, Cameron. There's not enough spots. There's not enough spots.
Yeah. And we've been blessed a little bit with the likes of Sheasel. Like, if I really like Seamus Mitchell, I think he's going to end up keeping his spot. Maybe he gets to 300k if we're lucky. But, he's the perfect swing for the likes of Sheasel at the moment. And hopefully there's a nice 102k rookie that I can downgrade him to so I can have some good bench swing. Because it's feeling like our forward line's going to have 6 good players. Our midfield's going to have 9 good players. And then most people might have a Day or a Sheasel or someone just roaming the bench. That's the master plan, at least.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I've got both Zeeble and Sheasel in the back line because I've already got Dawson, Dacos, Stewart. I think these 3.
Stewart's the one I'm missing.
They're the trinity of, I think, uber primo defenders. And then you've got Zeeble and Sheasel, and I've also got Day. So I'm thinking that my back line is basically done, and just really got to focus on getting these cheaper mids and forwards, and fill out my team with them. I just think that if you got Sheasel at D6, I mean you're laughing. I don't think you need an uber premium above a Sheasel at D6 when you've got these absolutely vital people. Like, if you miss out on Walsh in your forward line,
100, like, he's fine.
You're going to be crying moving forward if you miss out on Walsh in the forward line, I think.
Yeah. Last year was dominated by getting these really cheap players, getting Zach Merritt at 520k, even a Himmelberg at 380. Those type of players, when you're busting your ass and you want to have like some cash gen, when you don't want to spend up 700k for a player, the time of getting 700 play Ks is done. Like, this is probably close to being one of the last weeks you can afford Oliver, because now we have to really start budgeting. If you're lucky and you got Radigalia and Ryan, maybe you're a bit different. But I know for myself, I've got 5 picks and a couple of them at 370. And I'm just like, well, do I have to budget and start forcing Mills and Steele in my team so I can finish? That's a real option over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, I've got Mills this week. I've gone both Gawn and Mills, but by doing so, I'm not able to afford Walsh next week because obviously I'm at a boost. So I might not be able to get Callum Mills in this week. I might just I don't know. It's crazy. I might get a Weddle, for example, or someone like, I don't know, someone this week in order to. I'll give up on some points where Mills is, but in the long run, if I'm able to get Walsh to be playing forward for
team
me in
sheets
time,
out. Sorry, team review out today or early tomorrow for me. Sorry, guys. Too.
So late, unbelievable.
I know,
Big
it's terrible. It's terrible, Joe. I'm a terrible person.
Theo's looking at Merritt next week. Yeah, Merritt is also another big one. If we're able to get, if next week somehow you could get both Merritt and Walsh, oh mate, you are absolutely flying somehow, Theo. That would be unbelievable.
The thing with Walsh versus other people, though, is that if you're expecting him to go massive, then grab him in. If not, he's not the biggest loss. Forward line DPP, everything like we've said is fantastic, but he's not going to kill you. It's not like not having Bont last year and being able to put him in the forward line. We can go 140. I just don't know if Walsh is there. I think Swiss's camera's got stuff too. It's got a bit of a grimace face.
Oh, it's probably just me with this flu, mate, or whatever.
I missed the discussion because I came late. I don't know if you guys were talking about it earlier, but what are your thoughts on Rory Atkins, Swizz?
I'm being more hotter than the other couple boys on it, only because I know his scoring history. His job security is the real issue, and this is the problem when you're bringing him in to cover your buys, and he may not be around there. That I've got no hesitation saying this guy will average just 75 through that time, but it's just how long does he hold his spot? And that's the real worry, and that's why I prefer Weddle. I've definitely considered bringing Atkins in, but it's just if I knew there was more injuries at the Suns, I would, but I'm probably gone against it now, which is unfortunate.
Weddle's job security isn't. Is it super hot
I feel like it's similar. So why not just go the guy that's 70k cheaper?
Yeah,
Hawks are more likely to play the rookie.
A bit stronger, to be honest.
Yeah, probably is because he's a young fella.
And he's still playing.
I mean, Cam McKenzie was dropped, and I thought he was their best player for the first couple of weeks.
That's the thing. They'll chop and change, and you expect Whittle's going to see plenty of ball still down there. Yeah, but that's the problem. The Hawks are just going to keep giving different guys opportunity.
I think the Hawks. We've seen it with Mitchell. Well, we're seeing it with Mitchell now. We're seeing it with Weddle and a few other players. Like Hawks are prepping for the future. So them playing these guys and getting games into them, they're going to be superstars next year. But that means that they've got to get games into them now, which is why they're playing versus more established players. Like Bramble probably plays a similar position to what a Weddle does. But it's like, well, this guy's going to be our future. Let's get him in. Let's get games into him. Yeah. They know that they're going to be playing finals. So prepare for next year.
Who is still to return for Gold Coast that could kick Atkins out of that back line?
Well, I'll tell you.
We know Constable is probably not going to get named. I think if Constable was close to a return, he'd at least be emergency.
Well,
but it hasn't been for the last I don't know how many weeks, and he's been averaging around 30 disposals and like 7 marks. I don't know.
Mavid's got it. The first one's obviously Lockie. Mate, the obvious first one's Lockie Weller.
Yeah. But he played with Weller earlier in the year, didn't he?
No, Atkins didn't play earlier in the year, did he? I'm pretty sure. No, Atkins didn't start the season.
No, yeah. Oh, when did Weller get injured?
A couple of weeks ago, didn't he?
Yeah, Atkins was playing in that game.
They played one game together?
Yeah, I think they played one game together when he got injured.
And then you got Ben Ainsworth, which I know he's not technically a defender, but does that just change a restructure? That's the hard thing because they've got one guy on that list, which is Darcy McPherson, who I know has been named halfback this week, but he's Mr. Fix-It. So depending on he slots in really anywhere, depending on where they're coming in. I probably think Thomas Berry goes out first out of their side. So there's the potential of McPherson then goes there and Weller comes back. But Atkins is a also a chance that he could be a sub candidate because he can solve multiple problems for you. Like he can play wing, can play off the half back, half forward. So it's funny because I like to think a lot of teams use that flexibility, and then you get the odd team that puts a ruck as their sub, and you just go, okay, this just makes no sense. But that's my only worry with Atkins, that he could play 2 decent games and get his 75, and then do they make him sub?
Speedster. He's a speedster.
Which makes it even worse, doesn't it? Doesn't that make it worse?
It means that he can. Yeah, it means that he can be injected for some speed later in the game. He's 28 years old, though. I don't know. That's like prime of his career. Would you sub a guy like someone who's 28 years old? Maybe.
Does it matter? It seems like clubs, it doesn't. There's no real rhyme or reason to some of these sub choices.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I don't know.
If you're making the choice,
I don't know if I like him or if I'm wishful or if I'm wishing that it would work.
If you have to pick
Hannah
one,
Bruin,
I think it's Weddle. If you had to pick one,
right? I think it also plays a big role though if you're going to field them.
That's the other thing too. That's
like
true.
if you're in a situation where you're tossing and turning between Atkins and Weddle, like. You don't want to field Weddle. You know what I mean? Like it's fielding Weddle would suck a lot. Would you bring in Weddle over Atkins if you would field like a Wilmot, for example, on the field instead? Because even Wilmot isn't really someone that's very fieldable.
Like I reckon Atkins is probably good for a 65, maybe to a 70. So if you think he's going to score more than Wilmot, don't think Wilmot scores a or a 70 again. So probably. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like scoring wise, and Atkins having kick-ins automatically. I mean, you got someone with kick-ins at 200k on the bubble.
But do we now start going? Is there just as much risk with going Mitch Nevitt from Geelong and go, well, yeah.
Well, he's playing for a premiership side.
And still getting named. Like Danger's out for ages. Who else is to replace him? Like, I know maybe true. Clark comes in, but he definitely looks. Yeah, he's looking all right. Like, that's why I thought Simpson's job security was actually pretty good. But there are a few like, okay, we know Danger's missing a few weeks. Is Guthrie actually back this week? That's probably the big one.
There's still Parfit as well, right? Oh, Parfit is in this week. So Parfit.
Yes, Parfit's in, but Guthrie isn't. Okay, so
Guthrie is not. Correct.
He's out still. So he's the worry from Geelong.
And they've got Jai Clark as the sub. And where's Jai Clark going to play?
And Close is suspended this week. So you think Close comes straight back in. So probably not Mitch then, if you're picking him.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to think who else in that Geelong team's kicking out. Probably no one. But then Oliver Dempsey's playing this week. Like his job security is probably the worst of anyone at Geelong. But then it's
Bruin's playing this week.
Yeah, well, he's their number one sub dude.
Let's get Tanner Bruin in, mate. I don't know. I don't know if it's me again having that same trap mentality of hoping for a player to be good, like what I did with Tanner Bruin. But like, I've also feel burnt that I missed out on a guy like Buckley as well, who was that sort of price point and has just continued to just go up and up and up. And I just feel like if I was to miss this one as well, someone with a decent buy, someone with DPP already, someone who's taken kick-ins, he's not young. He's a mature age player, 28 years old, medium defender. It just, I don't know, and they have another player that's a Mr. Fix-It that can be moved around. Whereas it's more likely that he will stay in the back line. He played a game with Lockie Weller in that game when he got injured, so he was named with him in the side. I don't know, I just feel like there's enough.
Yeah, I like that. If you've got Big JVC Matthews points there, it's he's been talking about Nivet. Nivet, however we say it. And I get it. Like again, but with all three, I think the job security is the same. Probably
Yeah.
Weddle's got the best of the three, but I think probably Nivet's probably the better scorer.
Maybe I go double downgrade this week. Get rid of Corey Wagner.
But potentially.
Ooh, Big J's got the money today.
Yeah, I
Get
don't know.
another.
Never's job security seems more sketchy.
160. 160 hurts, man. Oh yeah.
How old is Never? How old is
It's
Mitch
too
Never?
much. It's too much. All the money I just used to downgrade, like Wilmot.
No, he's 20. So I think this is his second year in the system.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second year in the system for Mitch Never. He's played 5 games. He's 20 years old. He's a midfielder. I don't know. I just think they have enough. They have quite a few people running through there.
Yeah, that's the only worry. That's so.
Whereas
I don't think it's terrible, but yeah. See, it's as I said, I think Atkins' scoring is better. I just don't know about the actual job security, but I could be very much wrong on that.
See, Matthew's saying, yeah, of course, without danger, the pick certainly comes to life. But Holmes gets more mid-time. That wing spot really opens up, and he could do damage in that team. So you're sort of having Nevitt, hoping that Nevitt plays that wing, owns that wing. But wing is, I mean, you want, wing is really the best,
it's a rough one. It's a rough one. I need to catch Chen. I've got probably two trippy trades left, and that's it. My body's telling me, Jeremy, come on. Ashcroft is going to be staying the same. Hopper's probably going to make his break even. Chandler's going to make his break even. This is the week to do it, the double downgrade, and then just upgrade from here till Kingdom Come. Yeah, it's something to contemplate.
Yeah, Nevitt might be the selection. Going to use my last boost. Big Tommy says JVR, Ashcroft, and LDU to Atkins / Weddle, Goulden, and who out of Anderson, Mills, Steele, or Stewart? Stewart pick helps the round 15 side. Yeah, I think Stewart is in for a big game. But do you reckon that Richmond will have in their memory what he did to Prestia? Will they go after him, you reckon, and rough him up and give him a tough time?
No.
Here's the moral dilemma. Is people going to get into me if I boo?
No, you pay your money. You can do what you want.
I feel like Eddie McGuire is going to point me out. And it's an interesting. I'm sure that the players just get on with it. They will, But the fans, on the other hand, it's a different story.
I don't think he'll care about their booing. He won't care about their booing.
He won't.
To be honest.
Then they can't accuse it of being racist. So, but yeah, Stewart, I think, would be the selection there. Yeah, rough him up and give away free kicks for extra points. Didn't stop him the game.
Well, Richmond do that for anyway. Like we're the most disappointing team.
Well, people talk about how defenders versus Richmond actually score quite well. So they're saying Tom Stewart might give him a bath. Wouldn't surprise me.
You reckon it's a sneaky VC?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, he's a very sold option. That was one of the
I think Sava's going to go big again, which is annoying for us non-owners. So.
We have no centre half forward, so I think he's a definite option. If I could do it and somehow bring him in, but I don't want to get rid of Chandler this week. As tempting as it is.
I don't know. I'm thinking. I wasn't sure. I've got Oliver into Bond now as my VC and C, but I don't know. Like I just feel like George Hewitt is just going to go straight to Bontempelli, and I think Hewitt is a great defensive mid.
You've really got to be careful with Oliver into Bont too, because it's only like 5 or 10 minutes time difference between the games. I think.
I guess we'll be able to tell though by 3/4 time.
Yeah, I guess so.
If Oliver is on one,
I don't know. Oliver's had some pretty good 60-point quarters.
That's true.
Was the one that yeah. Whoops! Here we go. Oliver's turned on now.
I know I'm going to be
into Oliver stuff. I'm going to be
in such an average mood tomorrow night when I watch, Geelong are going to probably beat us, and Stewart's going to go about 150, and there's just going to be no highlight coming out of that game.
And then Ashcroft is going to score 40 because it's Ashcroft. And then
I know.
guys.
That's definitely the way, because I could technically do it this week. I could do Chandler and Ashcroft out and bring in Stewart and Whittle. And
that was exactly my trade. Before talking to you guys today, that was 100% my trade.
And everything says is going, oh no, Ashcroft with the outs and that rebounds probably goes 75, 80. And then, Chandler against Hawthorn should go fairly well, and it makes sense. But Stewart himself probably outscores both of them.
And it's worse because it's that 180 break even as well. So not 180, 120 break even.
120.
So it's like, he's probably going to stay the same price, but he could go more, and then you're going to miss out on him. It's going to be more expensive next week. And Supercoach is fun like this sometimes.
It's actually a good debate. It really is. Because that's Timmy English's break even. I was like, hang on, what does Ashcroft have a break even of 156? Yeah, Ashcroft's break even 71, which he's got every week bar 2, round 1 and then last week. He's done more than that.
He's
playing Essendon, who don't have Parrish.
And no back line. So it could be a lot of score.
Chandler's break even's 42, which he's smashed every week bar last week, and he's still got more than that. And there's the very possibility that Chandler could go 80 to 100 himself. So
it's a tough bit, man. It's a tough week to be playing Supercoach.
It's a real interesting debate, that one.
Stuff it. I'm gonna roll the dice and go Atkins. I don't care. I'm gonna have Atkins in my bed on my, because I have to field one of them, because I was gonna get a Mills this week, but I'm just looking big picture. I want both Merritt and I want both Merritt and Walsh in my side. I think I know Merritt is a post buy merchant, but this guy is the captain.
Can't get him now. You can't get him now because his partner in crime's not there, Joe. We had to talk about this.
It's all right. We have an easy run coming up after this week.
Yeah,
so I'm not going to get him this week.
Don't get him this week. Let him get tagged. Let him go score a 40, and then we can pick him up at 520k again in a couple of weeks.
He's not going to score 40 points. He's too good to score 40 points.
Zach Merritt over under 40 points this week.
He's not going to score 40 points, bro. Like, come on, take it easy.
Hey, Jennifer. Oliver into Bont's fantastic. You can pick Dunkley if you want as well, but you just got to be careful. That timeline is only like 20 minutes between the two games. So have your phone on you around 7 o'clock. You can make the swap if you need to.
Feel like I might have been sitting. Feel like I was sitting near Jen for like. Jen, were you there on Anzac Day? Feel like I was sitting near you.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
You can miss Merritt. You can wait for Merritt, bro. But I'm gonna get Merritt in next week, because we've got Richmond, West Coast, North Melbourne, the 3 to come. So look, I want to make my plans. I want to get Merritt in my team next week. Richmond don't tag. West Coast don't tag. North don't tag. And he's gonna go big on all of them. So I reckon I'm gonna play the points game as opposed to the he'll lose money this week for sure. His break even's 132, and then for the next 3 weeks he's gonna go 120 plus. So I'm hoping to get Merritt in next week.
I have a bit of an exclusive question for the 42 people that are watching, plus you guys. Would you be interested in doing a bit of a meetup at one of the games in a couple of weeks?
Ooh.
Yeah.
To say, hey, come along, we're going to go watch this game, and then. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I put that out there a few weeks ago, because I was going to be at the London, and big chance I'll be there actually tomorrow for the Richmond Geelong game. And I think we might have had one person come up. I had more people actually come up to me at Knox City today while I was out shopping, which was quite hilarious.
You got a noble face, Wiz. I'm just looking on the AFL website of games down at Marvel. What do you guys reckon about June the 3rd, Bulldogs versus Geelong?
We'll have to look up my schedule because I am flat out, but I do like the idea of it. But I will give it to you guys. Oh, okay, Jen, that definitely wasn't you then. Clearly, somebody looks similar.
Well, let's.
Um,
I'm going to pencil that in. Okay?
But
pencil that in
anyway,
Saturday night.
we will
Maybe
talk about that later. But I will have to interrupt Big J. I need to run. But thank you so much, boys, for having me on. Thank you for everybody that's been chatting.
Thanks for coming on.
I'll be on at 8 p.m. doing my thing too, guys. Supercoach Insider 100 or Swizz 26 to follow that.
Yep.
But keep following these boys. Keep doing the great work. Thanks, lads.
Nice.
Thank you so much, Swizz. You are part of the furniture.
Oh,
you are. We love having you on, mate. And best of luck this week for your boys.
Cheers, boys.
Yeah.
Oh man, what a week! I reckon we do like 10 more minutes, Joe, and then we head off. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
Guys, we're going to answer your questions in the chat. Chuck some
Don't
questions
do
in
it.
there, and we'll answer those now while we're waiting.
Yeah, nah, don't do it, bro. I've held Ridley all this time, and I'm trading him out. I would not trade in Ridley. Don't do it, Tommy. I know you're joking.
Yeah.
Have FOMO fun of me all the time. Yeah, as you should. Thoughts on Anderson into Dawson? Ooh,
I wouldn't do it. I think Noah Anderson's. They've talked about him getting a tag, even if that means he gets attention. I think it's too risky with some of these players this week who are really going to be good picks. We're looking at like Bond, we're looking at Clary, a few other players. I think the Anderson is too risky. If he gets a 110 or a 115, or heck, even a 120, if Anderson comes out and scores a 120, you're going to be really tight and you're going to be like, hey, do I pick Bond? Do I pick Clary? Do I pick even Dawson as my captain? Because it's that really weird, awkward price. I think he's going to go potentially around that this week. I don't see a 150 coming. And it's going to be a really tight situation. And most of the time when that happens, you're on the wrong side of that choice, which is the tough bit.
Yeah, I mean, we got West Coast, and West Coast is ranked 17th for scores conceded against mid. So, look, I personally am of the opinion if you're going to go Anderson, you've brought Anderson in this week. You're riding the high. He's on fire. He's up against weak opposition. I personally don't mind you backing your guts, backing your pod, VCing the pod, and just rising up the ranks. It's just a VC, and Dawson is more than capable of scoring big. The problem is he's up against St Kilda, who are, St Kilda he could do really well against St Kilda at home. So, look, I'm not against it, Vin. I think you got to back yourself. And if you reckon that these guys can do well, I'm not going to tell you no. Especially, as Kevin says, referring to our good man Global, if it tickles your peanuts, you got to go for it, mate. Matthew, West Coast do tag, yeah, with Jimby, but there's no way Jimby can possibly run with Zeret. Zeret's ability to transition from inside to outside is one of the best in the competition, and probably his biggest strength, his ability to get on the outside and really punish players. So it's I don't think Jimby could do anything to Zeret, to be honest. Would love to do that. Would be cool, as I did with DR last Friday at the Brisbane. Oh, we met up with DR. Very nice.
Yeah,
very nice.
I was going to end up going to that game, but I just think I couldn't make it. So it was a tough one to miss. No, the answer is no, but there's some people that are definitely looking at going and downgrading Marshall this week. I know some people did similar thing last year, and was it Bont or Oliver or one of these players, and they had a poor second half of the season, so it ended up being an okay trade. I don't mind offloading these players if like Bont plus a rookie gets you two primos who are still decent, but around that 550k mark, go for it with some cash in the bank, obviously. But at the moment, the way he's scoring, and you can't.
Global, you must have like 22 trades or something, like to be able to make a player like this,
much. Or like 10 trades, and he's still got to finish his team. So
yeah, or something.
That's the problem.
Anthony Eunice, Parrish out and make 2 upgrades, Clary and Mills, or hold Parrish, still get Clary. Now, I think Parrish should be an out. Anthony, think calves are always a major red flag. He had a calf complaint early in the preseason. He's had the calf complaint now. That's ruled him out of games. Calves are really finicky and they can re-injure really easily. So I'm not one to gamble on keeping an Uber premium. He could be out for 2-3 weeks and then eventually get injured yet again in the season. So I reckon trading trading Parish is the way to go.
It's warning signs. Obviously, if you brought him in last week or the week before, it sucks. But it's warning signs before it starts being a real problem, which I think is the thing. We know we're holding with people that held LDU and a few other players have really been punished, and it could really be the same with him too. And the problem with Parish as well is that he's up for contract, so potentially.
That's right. He's gone, I reckon.
See you later,
I reckon
Parish.
he's gone.
Yeah, maybe get a first rounder obviously get a first rounder, but I think that's probably about it.
I reckon he's gone. Would you keep Grundy and upgrade a rookie to a steal, or go Grundy to Gorn and fill an extra rookie? I
think you can wait on steal. I think Grundy's probably tanked out on his price and he's not the number one. So if you're happy with fielding 70s and 80s for the rest of the season, go Grundy. But even with Gorn being DPP coming, and he will most likely get DPP, even with that happening, I think it's too much to pass up. Get Gorn now as that R2, round 12 or 13, swap him out to another position, and you're laughing for the rest of the season. So, yeah, it's really tough. Not having him, it's really, really tough.
I'd rather Samson Ryan at R2 over Gorn, over Grundy at this point.
Well, there you go. Solden Drury being I think it's going to be one of those picks where he's going to be in and out of the team, but it really depends on how well he performs now. Drury at North Melbourne, we're desperate for a good small forward, and if he can become that type of player, then it's going to be fantastic. I just don't want him to be... I want him to be consistent 22 like a Chandler is, versus him being in and out of the team like we've seen Perez and Bergman and a couple of these other players. There's a spot for him to play. The only problem with Drury at the moment was his second half of the season, or second half of the game last week, where he barely got no touches. Really good first half. Fantastic. I think he was one of the highest possession getters on our field in the first half. Got to about 10 or 11 possessions and then just stopped touching the ball. So just really need to be careful of that. And that could be a real factor for him not being in the team as much, because it's like, okay, you've got to get your body right. You've shown you can play, but you need the fitness. So there's a spot for him to play. It's just something you've really got to factor in.
Yeah. Theo, would you get Stewart or Anderson in? I reckon Stewart, personally.
The plan was for me to go Anderson this week and Stewart next week, but it's a tough one, man. Real tough one. Anderson's got a break even of like 6. So
9.
If you don't get him in this week, he could be 350k next week, and then you kind of lost. So Stewart, I think, is not going to score much more than a 120. So that's basically what his break even is now.
In the back line, it's clutch. In the back line, it's huge. I think the top Uber elites in the back line are a lot less than the big scorers in the midfield, especially when we're going to get like the likes of Walsh capable to be in the forward line and things like that. I think it's the gap between the top in the midfield and the rest is not as big as the gap between the big dogs in the back line. I personally think Stewart is more reliable. You know what you're going to get from Stewart for the rest of the year, whereas Tuke Miller is going to return, and that will undoubtedly see a reduction in Noah Anderson's scoring.
100%. If you're going to pick both, go Anderson and then Stewart. But if you've only got to pick one, you got to go Tom Stewart. That even just that round 13 bye compared to how many other players are going to be missing out across the different lines is huge.
Yeah. Vin Hewitt has tagged well so far. That's what I think. I personally think Bontempelli as a captain is a bit of a risk. If you've got English, I think English might be the safer ruckman the safer captain for that game, to be honest. I'm probably just going to do Stewart into Oliver this week. If you guys, but Bont is Bont, man. he can go 160, no problems. If he takes a hold of a game, good luck stopping him. Not even Hewitt, not even Georgie boy can go with him. But he also is asking about Mills's role. Look, Mills's role is up in the air. You might as well flip a coin right now. And that's the problem. He's named on the ball. He's named in the guts on the team sheets. But what horse does? You can take a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. You can tell horse that Mills is one of the best inside mids in the comp. but he will still play Mr. Fix-It, unfortunately.
If you've got Mills, so Mills' break-even's 116. I don't see him scoring much more than that at all. So he's going to be around the same price next week. I think I saw a stat someone posted up that if he scores a 115 for the next 3 weeks, he's only going to be like 230 or 240k.
Yeah,
sorry,
exactly.
330 or 340k. So, and that's like on his buy or just after in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So you're not losing out much. He's really got to pop out like a 150 to punish people who are waiting on the pick. So yeah, you just got to wait and see really.
Yeah.
I think Goulden's the one that's been profiting a lot from Mills moving around. Not that he's been playing a lot of, or Anthony, mate, that's tough. Only two playing rookies on the bench.
I got Wilmot, Hollins, Baker, Ryan,
you've got a few.
Mitchell. I got 6. The only ones I'm missing are Johnson and Constable.
Yeah, I have 4. So getting Simpson in last week was a masterstroke. As much as I wanted to double upgrade, getting Simpson in was good. But yeah, it's a tough one, man. You've got to get that cash gen. You've almost got to prioritize that cash gen, Anthony, because during the buys is when we can really profit from it. Especially guys on the bubble now. If I had your team, I would be looking to getting in the Weddle. I'd be looking into getting the Nevitt. These guys with some job security, because during the buy rounds, even if they're only 250k, you can offload them and grab primos because you can do 3. 2 down, 1 up. It's okay. But you don't want to be that guy during the buy rounds who's got no money and no playing rookies, because the rookies on the bench who are playing are the ones that save us during the buy rounds. Not want to have donuts. Donuts are going to be you scoring 1,600 or 15 or 1,400 even, and other people scoring 1,700, 1,800. Heck, people are going to have best 18 and they're going to score 2,200 during the buy rounds. It's going to happen. And you're going to be like 600 points behind. Last year, I jumped up like 8 or 9k spots during the buys. That's the reason why, because you're still getting 18, 19 people playing every week. And 19 is better because you know a rookie is going to drop a 20. So you don't have a 20, you've got a 50 instead. You've got to get the playing rookies. That's the almost more important now than getting primos in. Is getting playing rookies. Because in 2 weeks, round 12 comes, it's best 18. So as long as you've got 18 premiums playing in that first week, who cares if this Joe Blow down the street has got 22 players or 20, 21, 20 premiums in their team? It doesn't matter. From round 12 to round 14 or 15, 21 primos, a completed team, doesn't matter. It's just about getting playing players in your team. You've got to fix that up as quick as you can, Anthony. 100%.
Absolutely. Carney to Gorn, JV out of Atkins, Setterfield to Anderson, using my last boost. Congratulations. Congratulations, Ben. Very good. I'm not against any of that. Mason, I just brought in Danger last week. Instead, I traded him out thinking it will be a 2 to 3 week hammy. Ends up missing. Yeah, I think you got to trade him. Absolutely. Especially at that age. He's not a spring chicken anymore. And we already know how notorious Geelong are when it comes to managing their players. So, yes, I reckon Mason, very smart call to trade him out. Bont into Dawson or Anderson into Dawson. I reckon Anderson against the Eagles is probably safer than Bont against George Hewitt. So I'd probably go Anderson into Dawson, I think, out of those two. Who would you rather have the Eon in case a late out Simpson or Chincotta?
Why is Chincotta not on field? That's my question. You must have a bloody good team, Tommy, if Chincotta is not on field.
100%. No, I got Chincotta on
he's
field.
Like D5, no, not D5. He's either D6 or M7.
M8. I got him at M8.
Yeah.
So, I got him M8, and I got
the 2. I think Chincotta's the one to pick. Just job role. Simpson did get his like 50 to 60 points last week, but it wasn't a consistent 50 or 60. Like he struggled to get that, whereas Chincotta struggled and he still got a 70. So there were times when he got burnt. There were times that maybe he kicked the opposition, and that's why he got that 70. But slowly, Carlton are looking to put him into the role a little bit more. It's forced Docky to play backline, so to play midfield because he's there. So he's the one. You field him or you put him as the E. That's it.
Yeah, 100%. Dunkley, skipper option, double dummy, absolutely.
100%. Do it. So yeah, you can put him as VC and you'll be happy, I reckon.
Correct. Yeah, no Parish.
Essendon are a trash team. They just they got no good players. Their best
No
player,
defense.
Parrish, is going to leave at the end of the year. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, there's
Get
so
rid of
many
him.
score assists he's going to get. Saving cheap mids for future upgrades is gold. Yeah, I agree, Dan.
Yeah.
Finn, I've been tossing and turning between these options. Do I go Mills, Brayshaw, and Stewart, or Atkins and Stewart with 350k in the bank? You can wait on Mills, as we've said and what Dan said. You can wait on Mills. His break even is still pretty high. He's not gonna you're not gonna be outpriced. And Brayshaw's playing with an injury, so I wouldn't even. I don't even rate Brayshaw as an option. You can wait on Mills. You can definitely get Stewart. And if you really are unsure about Atkins' job security, like a lot of people are, then you can just keep the 350k and use that next week in order to get an Uber premium like a Walsh, for example, or a Merritt, something like that. I think that is more worthwhile than forcing in Atkins.
Yeah, that would kind of be forcing in not Atkins, forcing in like a Mills or something.
Oh yeah, Mills. I mean,
that would kind of be my thing as well. Is just, as Joe says, you can wait, but then also some players might have a bad week as well. There's a few guys that are around that 570 mark. Let's have a quick look around the midfielders at 570. There's a few players around that position where if they have a bad week in the next couple of weeks, when you're looking to upgrade to them, could be the ones that you really trying to bring in. Who have we got here? Rachel's not one. Parrish is not one. I think Cripps is similar around that price. You've got Zach Merritt's around that price as well. There's a few players here. A bad week can force them into your team, and that money.
Yeah, Zach Merritt. That's what I'm saying, bro. I got my eyes squarely on Zach Merritt to come into my team next week. Like if we can manufacture this, that would be huge. I reckon. As Dan says, he will go Merritt next week if he can get there in 2 trades. Otherwise, it's probably Mills. I think. Would you field Hollins or Baker? That's a good question. That's a very good question. They're playing each other. The one who's scored, the team that you reckon is going to win, I think. So on that basis, it might be Baker. I don't know. That's rough. Whereas I don't know. That's a good question. I think that's a coin flip there, Theo. Anthony might have to bank against Oliver this week. Big stat cash, gen. Cheers, boys. Yeah, cash is king, man, in this game. I've played my buys and I've got a full team of 22 except for Marshall. Well done on you, Vin. That's sensational. Have a look at Bailey Humphrey. He's playing in mid rotations, and his game last week was very good. Actually, haven't really looked at Bailey Humphrey at all.
I think he's one that's dropped in price a little bit. He was one of those guys that was named at 180k because of his was he pick 5 or 6 in the draft, and then it's kind of depreciated in price a little bit since then. -3 really hurts, but it could be an option. I just think there's better players. I think he's someone maybe you start or first round of upgrades you can bring him in. Like people brought in Ryan and Asava, but now we're desperate for money. So just don't see it.
That's why Anthony's taking your advice. Anthony's taking your advice. He's going to would you double down then and sacrifice the upgrade? Going to go Ashcroft and Roberts to Nevitt and Weddle. I reckon Ashcroft is one that you can hold another week. He's up against an Essendon side that hasn't been this weak for a long time, just simply personnel-wise. He's playing at home, and he tends to average 30 points better while playing at home as well. So I reckon Ashcroft is one that you can actually hold on to this week. I think he will beat his break-even. And even if he scores around it, you can always downgrade him next week. So I don't know if there's someone else like a Baker, for example, someone who's probably close to maxed out. I think is probably someone that is better to downgrade than Ashcroft. I think Ashcroft can well and truly re-kickstart that cash gen this week, I think.
And the best thing is we've got Drury coming through. We've got that the Bulldogs defender as well at 102k. So there is some options there to be able to do stuff. I might even ditch Wagner next week or the week after and say, hey, 102k defender, Dogs need help. Chuck him in if he's any good.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
I wish I could BC dunks. No good skipper option.
I'm going to speak about Michael's question, and then I got to head off. Hey, Michael, thanks for jumping on, mate. Luke Ryan or Tom Stewart? For me, it's the bye round that does more than anything. I know Tom Stewart is probably on fire. If he doesn't go punch out any more Richmond players, it should be fantastic for the rest of the year. Whereas Luke Ryan, I don't know if he's appropriately priced because he's appropriately priced. Like, maybe he's just a 590 player. I totally agree with you. He's going to be super pod. Super pod. No one's going to have him. But not many have Tom Stewart either. And I think coming into the buys, who else? If I just look at my team, for example, let me pull up the buy round for Freo. There might be a few players that share the same buy that I've got in the back line. Are they round 15? No, round 12. Okay, so round 12 is not too bad. I've only got Sinclair. So, yeah, it's a tough one, man. It's a real tough one.
Jeez. More people own Will Day than Stewart.
Yeah, of course they do. He came in at 400K, and then people even picked him up at 450. So 100%. Everyone jumped off Tom Stewart after doing his foot in like that first game.
Yeah.
Because they said, 5 weeks, and then he came back a week later. So, yeah, it's a tough one. All right, guys, I have to head off. I'm not sure how long Joe's going to be here for, but thanks for jumping on. My team review is going to be out as soon as we can. Have a great day. Footy's coming up. I think we'll end up doing a bit of a hangout log tile type thing in a few weeks, so stay tuned for that. Looking to be coming to a few more games with Joe as well as my weekends and my Friday nights start to clear up with the job. So definitely looking to enjoy some footy. Waiting for the changes to AFL 23 to come out too. A few more fixes for the old PlayStation controller. So yeah, catch you guys in the next one. I'll see you later.
See you, Big J. I might hang around for another 7 odd minutes till 7:30, and then I might go have some dinner before we gotta wrap it up with work tomorrow. Yeah, I agree, Dan. Not touching Brayshaw. Fringe best 8 to 10 minutes, even in his best bad fixture. That fixture that he's got coming up is actually one of the worst runs I have seen ever. I'm actually going to put it up. I'm actually going to pull it up, mate. It is that horrendous. I mean, we'll look here at Freo's run. Sydney away, Geelong, Melbourne away, Richmond, GWS, us, Bulldogs, Carlton, Collingwood, Sydney, Geelong, Brisbane. Like, what is this run? Like, what? Like, that is so bad. I find it hard to imagine anyone willing to take the gamble and jumping on a Brayshaw, who we know is also playing with a bit of an injury cloud over his head too. So I would not go there, personally speaking. So I agree with you, Dan. Absolutely. And Michael, I agree with what Big J said. I reckon Tom Stewart is the pick. And as Dan says here, Ryan is good, but may regress if Freo looks to give Young some more responsibility. And the thing with Young, I mean, he was highly touted in the preseason as that guy who's been taking a lot of big steps to take on more responsibility and kick-ins and intercepts and all of those things. And we're looking at his scoring, and look, his last month hasn't been very bad. But, you know, there is definitely scope when you look at what he ended up doing last year. There were quite a few games where he was able to go pump out some more 110 scores. Again, though, it's very inconsistent, and I still do think that Ryan is the man back there. But when you're comparing Ryan to Stewart, one of the best, genuinely one of the best defenders in the comp, and the better buy, I find it hard to go over that. On you, Tommy. Yeah, I know. I'm putting all of these things now that he's gone. Joe, how's the Grandmaster team going? Yeah, the Grandmaster team's gone okay. I might show you here now. Michael's gone. See you, Michael. Thanks for coming on, mate. The buy alone, yeah, for sure, Anthony. I agree. We may only beat Richmond with this run. Yeah, I know. That's a rough run. No easy games whatsoever. Young could be a late season pick. I fully expect him to do better in time. That hard run may also help him. That's true. That is true. The ball might be going back there a lot. And I guess it also depends as well on the sort of game plan and structure that you guys have. This kicking and marking a lot in the back line, there's slower ball movement. I'm not sure how much that can really help. There's got to be a change. Double dummy for you. I will show. I guess this is what I'm sort of doing. Going into this week, Atkins was going to be a Mills, but I'm just thinking big picture. I got to look at my team, and I want to get the top guys. I don't want to fill my team with just, I suppose, Uber players just to fill out the team. I sort of want to have a true Uber primo sort of team. And Mills, as we've said, not great. I know, 15 trades. It is so low. There are no trades left, and I still have to fill 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spots. You know what I mean? Like it's very cutting it very thin. But that's the problem with having a poor starting team when things just didn't go well with some speculative picks like Tanner Bruin and Nazaya Wanganeen-Miller hasn't really come on very well either. There was a lot of things that I had to end up fixing, but the positive, I guess, is that I've got some decent cash gen on the field, on the bench. So, I got these guys are making money. Ryan's going to be making a lot of money. Baker, Hollins, they're close to maxing out. And Wilmot also close to going. So, next week could involve trading out Wilmot. But I do want to have money in the bank. I don't want to field Weddle. I really don't want to field Weddle whatsoever. Absolutely not. So that's why I've sort of got this sort of setup right now here. And I want to keep a lot of money in the bank so that I can do some big moves next week. And I do obviously involves getting Drury. And I do want to get an Uber Premium. I do want to get Zach Merritt. I do want to have enough money the next week to continuously be able to one up, one down. And I think the last 2 weeks, prioritizing cash gen. So, we've got Simpson, we've got Chincotta, we've gotten this week, we've got an Atkins who I think can make us some good money for his price if he's able to stay named. And as long as Constable is in whatever sin bin I don't know what Constable's done to deserve such treatment, but my word, I think if Atkins can stay on the field, just by virtue of having kick-ins, I think he's certainly capable of averaging around 70 odd points. And come his buy would put him over 300k. So I think it's just looking to really cement the cash gen in order to be able to one up, one down. And then when we get to the buys, can be really explosive. Lisa, worth trading Wits over Gorn for VC factor. Don't have Oliver Stewart, need a viable VC option. Yeah, and Wits also does have that good buy, which is really interesting. Not many people are talking about trading Wits in. The thing with Wits is he's missed games. He's been injured. He's breaking. Oh, he's got BJ Williams. Whoa, he's got BJ. Even Samson Ryan went 104 against Williams. What is Wits gonna do? It's a very interesting one. The thing with Gorn is that you're not gonna get him any cheaper. That's the thing. Like you get in Gorn, his break even's 80. He's already started to bounce up in price. So he's not gonna get any cheaper. He's starting to go up the other way. And Max Gorn at 512k is ridiculous. You're getting him 109k cheaper than when he was at the start of the year, which is huge. And he's going to get forward status. So you can trade in Gorn, and then you can send him forward in time. So that's another thing, part of the allure of picking up a Max Gorn. And so you can end up, and we know that ruckman, halfbacks, and mids are what score the best for your super coach. And so if you could have Gorn forward and Darcy Cameron, and then you can have a guy like English or Wits, you know what I mean? You could end up having 4 ruckmen in your team, which is very rare. Very, very rare. I don't know how many times in history, if ever, you've been able to have 4 ruckmen for genuine ruckman in your team. So I think it's worth it if it means missing out on a guy like Witz, who is more expensive. Dan, don't you worry about it, bro. I'm sure you can tell from the screen my fingers are huge as well. Oh geez, I said 7:30 and I've already gone to 7:32. Just maybe I'll just finish what we've got here in front of me. Guys, do you prefer Clary and Drury or Anderson and Weddle? I love Clary as a man. I think Clary is an absolute specimen. He is probably one of the best inside mids in the history of the game. And when it gets to wet weather football, which we're more and more becoming accustomed to seeing, I think you just got to go. I think you just got to back in Clary, man, 100%. Constable stole Juice car space. I don't know what. He might have stole his space and his woman or his daughter. I don't know what he's done, man. He's got something more than that. I think for him to be treated this way, that is unbelievable. I traded stock at a Sturt to get Walsh. Yeah, I know, man. That is, yeah, Sturt. That hurts. Walsh will be great though. Exactly. Don't you worry about it. Walsh will be worth it. Yo, Hippo's back, mate. Just can't. Did the teams change your trades? Yes, sort of. I mean, nothing in the team sheets necessarily caused me to change my teams per se. It was more so just general strategy in terms of what I was hoping to do. I was hoping to get in Mills, but I've just decided to stuff it. I'm going to go Atkins. I want to save the money because I want to get Merritt and I want to get Walsh. And I think having money in the bank is really important to do so. And Mills, I don't know what. They've got McCartan out this week with concussion. So that could mean that Mills again plays behind the ball, which, as a Mr. Fix-It, it breaks your heart because we know that Mills is one of the best inside mids in the game, one of the best midfielders. He's too good for his own good. So having that concussion just really sucks. So I don't really want to. I don't want to go with Mills anymore. I've just decided I'm rolling the dice with Atkins a bit here. I think this guy is capable of holding his spot in the side if he can continue to perform well. I know Weller has to come back, but I think in this game, I think he played with Weller. I think he was named with Weller in round 7. So, and if we're worried about Constable taking his spot, well, I'm not worried about Constable because I'm sort of I've resigned my fate to Constable never playing for this team as long as Stew is coach. I don't know what he's done, but I'm thinking that I know you're telling me Atkins is a trap, Dan. I know, but I can play him for however long he plays. He can make me his money, and then I can downgrade him to some other rookie and just make money, I suppose, that way. I don't trust Weddle. I don't like Weddle. I don't like his job security. I don't like his scoring. And I don't like Nevitt's job security either. Whereas Atkins, I feel, is, don't pay $200K for a downgrade. Look, I know don't pay $200 for $200K for a downgrade, but he could end up, if he averages 70s, he will make 100K fairly quickly. I mean, they've got here projected, none of these scores are in the 70s, and they've got him reaching over 300K come round 12. So, look, I think he's certainly capable of going 70, especially if he's taking kick-ins. It is a bit of a gamble. It is a bit of a risk, but I think you got to risk it for the biscuit sometimes, mate. And he's taking kick-ins. He's taking kick-ins. A guy for 200K taking kick-ins. And if he's able to maintain his role, Weddle was on our radar preseason. Yeah, he was. I agree. Yes, Weddle was on our radar preseason, but I was sort of hoping that he would score better than what he was going to score. I was hoping that Weddle could score me in the 60s, as opposed to what he scored 38 and a 54. And then he's got Melbourne this week, so I'm worried about Weddle. Plus the fact that they dropped Cam McKenzie, who I thought was their best midfielder early in the year. they're chopping and changing at the Hawks. They know they're not going to win. They know they're not going to contend. They're just around this year to play everybody into form. Like, I don't know. Like, this is the biggest definition of bringing the game into disrepute. They're literally just playing every single game into every single player and every single team into form whenever they play against someone. So they're an easy 4 points, and they're a percentage booster, and they're a get this team on track. So I just think that with all of these things, I'm happy to roll the dice and risk it with Atkins. And if it doesn't work, so be it. At least I have other avenues that I can move out from. Imagine we trade in Weddle and he gets dropped next week and doesn't play. Could end up with another dead rookie on the bench, in addition to Constable, and Madden. So look, that's why I'm happy to roll the dice with them. That's I don't know. Yeah, I love the fact that we all get Constable. We all have hope, false hope. Nah, man. I had hope before, but now I know this dude is forever. He's banned. He is banned from the team. I'm just looking to use him as a loop, I think, at this point. Is it trade for Parrish? Yeah, trade Parrish. I think you got to trade Parrish, man. Calves, as I've said, calves suck. When you injured your calf, it can happen again. He could miss 2-3 weeks, and I think he could get injured. He could injure himself yet again. So I don't know, man. I'm worried about what you have about holding on to Parrish, man. Hawks defense looks clueless. Wouldn't trust anyone in there, let alone a 2-game rookie. Yet I mean, they are even Sicily is not performing to the same levels as we know that he's capable of performing. That Hawthorn backline is under a lot of stress, under a lot of duress. Yes, it does. Melbourne means more ball down back for the Hawks. That is correct. But let's have a look. Where is Weddle getting his ball? Josh Weddle, half-back flank for a 38. Roaming higher up the ground. That's not really a half-back flank to me. That looks a lot like wing. So I don't think they're going to use him ahead of a Carl Amon, to be honest. So I'm not. The heat map does not instill me with a lot of confidence looking at Weddle as well. So don't need cash cards anymore, just warm bodies rather than a risk on Drury at 102k. Well, Drury I'll get next week for sure. Drury will be on the bubble next week. Gonna play. I agree regarding jobs and everything else is at the Barrett-esque rubbish. Barrett-esque double dummy. Please. This has hurt me. This has hurt me a lot. Talk to me more. Why Weddle is so good? Why Weddle needs to be in my team ahead of Rory Atkins? I gotta hear you, man. You haven't explained anything. I'm scrolling through chat. I haven't seen anything from you explaining why he's good. Please enlighten me. His job security isn't great. His scoring isn't great. He's playing a role that isn't known for good Supercoach scoring. He's up against Weddle. He's up against Melbourne, who rank first in scores against defenders. His break-even is only -18 because he hasn't had some great scores up until now. 38 and 54. I don't know, man. I just not about Weddle regarding the Hawks and how they are a disgrace. I would not touch Weddle. Okay, good. I wouldn't say you guys are a disgrace. I don't think I've used that word for you guys being a disgrace. It's just that whenever a team comes up against the Hawks, they are played back into form. It is what it is. Like I can't spin it any other way. In terms of you guys are helping teams to get good, and it sucks. It really sucks just due to personnel and a lot of experience going out of the team. But you guys have committed to a full rebuild, and you're hoping to pump in a lot of experience into your young players, and you're chopping and changing your team a lot in order to do that. And Cam Mackenzie being dropped is just a perfect example of that. Cam Mackenzie, I thought, was sensational, and he's absolutely killing it in the VFL. He finally comes back into the side now. But you guys are going through a lot of change in your team. You're putting, that this is not the finished product. You're not contending this year. You're looking to find out and experiment as much as you can with who you have on your list to try and see who really are the best ones that we want to keep developing, and that are going to build our next premiership side. There's going to be a lot of pain in the short term, and all these teams that you're playing against are just cashing in. It's just the way we're at. This is where we're at the moment. Going for true rookies isn't necessarily worth it. Look at Dylan Williams, for example, paid extra 70K, but looks like I know. I ended up paying 50K extra for Samson Ryan, and I've been very happy with it. Prefer Dylan Williams to the Ratkins. I mean, what's Williams priced at? Dylan Williams is 240K. 240,800. It's almost at 241. That's a lot of money. You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of money. Yes, he's scoring 80. He's got good scoring. He definitely has money left in him, but he's not. I don't think he's going to make 150K. I don't think he's going to make 150K for me now. He's already gone up 116. It's what I can get from him now moving forward, and I don't think I can make that much money from him compared to Atkins. I think Atkins can get me to, if he can get me 100 to 120K. Like, I mean, according to his projection, 63, 69, 60, 59. He's at 300K by this point, and not a single score in the 70s. And I think he can go 70. So I think he can make me 100K faster than what Supercoach Gold is telling me. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't need Atkins to play for a long time. I literally just need Atkins to play for roughly 3-4 games. If Atkins can play for literally 3 or 4 games, he can get to 100K with that role. That's all I need from him. I'm not keeping him for a super long time. I need his money to keep upgrading and having gun players on my field, and I want points. I want points on field. I don't want to field a crappy rookie. If he can keep going, if he can go 70s for me, then I'm absolutely laughing. And if it's just for 3 games, then so be it. He still made me the money that I need to upgrade. And I agree, Vin. That Williams boat left, and I hate Hinkley for it. Absolutely. The free game was shit. Swans and Cats bully young teams. Happy with the other games. Mackenzie was subbed on for it as a horror game. Next week was nearly as bad. He needs Resi's form. Perhaps. You know your team more than I do, obviously. Double dummy. And yeah, the Freo game was really bad, and I think in the second half against us, you guys were really bad as well. The problem, young teams and young players, they're going to be inconsistent, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to go to the Resis in order to find that form. They just naturally are inconsistent. They'll have spike games, they'll have games where they're simply not up to it, and that's part of the problem with having a young team and culling so much experience to keep them level-headed and grounded throughout the whole season. It's really, football is a really hard game. So I wouldn't, I don't know. Mason, Bailey Humphrey 177K interests me because of his role last week. His role last week with mid rotations was really good. Supercoach score doesn't really reflect that. Oh, let's have a look at Bailey Humphrey. He was the sub, interchange, half forward flank. That sucks. Midfield, -3. Why? What did he end up doing? 100% disposal efficiency. 1 tackle, 2 frees against. Yikes. 10% CBAs. That's probably the wrong game to look at the heat map for. Sorry, I made myself laugh there. On the bench. All right. A lot of disposal on the wing. 15 touches, kicks double the handballs, which is pretty good. 5 tackles, that's good. 3 frees, 4. That's not common. That's not going to happen a lot. But 67 disposal efficiency isn't great. They were playing dewy conditions against Melbourne, very strong opposition, so that I can understand that. 75% talk, that's pretty good for a 64 super coach. Look, I think he's a bit too much for the scoring. I don't know, 64 super coach with 3 frees, 4. I'm not sure how replicable it is. Yeah, exactly. That was his cold map. That was the wrong one. Correct. I mean, even as the sub, he was playing very forward in that game. Against that, so not great. So he's had different roles. I mean, so far in these 3 games, he was half forward flank in round 5. You know what I mean? Like very, very forward. So yeah, I don't know. I probably wouldn't go Humphrey, to be honest. He hasn't inspired me with this selection. It is what it is. Love Humphrey, but just want to... Yeah, it seems like it. It seems like that. There are players. Hippo still with us. Thoughts on going early on Drury? I never like going early on a rookie. I went early on Greg Clark last year. It was awesome because I actually got him first week that he was named, and he scored over 100 for me. So that was excellent. And then he got stuck on 2 games. So having a play, I mean, we've got Constable, man. We've got Constable. You're not seeing how shit it is having a dead rookie stuck on 2 games. I don't like the risk, man. You have convinced me. DP3, Wilmot and Davey, Clary, Nevitt, and Ratkins. Can't believe I have Ratkins. Look, if it blows up in our faces, Anthony, we're in it together, and at least you're not the one that has to make YouTube videos about it, all right? Risky. Everyone's talking how risky it is and don't mind it. Goat Tom Berry. Gee, Tom Berry. So, yeah, guys, 7:49 Thursday night. Haven't had dinner and got work tomorrow. So I think I will call it a night here. Thank you guys so much for watching, for joining us. Absolutely love doing these streams with you guys and love the interactions. Please head on over. Look out for Dan Marshall, the Dan Mashman, should I say, this Frio Tragic. You gotta follow what he does and his write-ups. You gotta follow Hippo. Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys, for coming in, for watching us, for interacting with us. We look forward to seeing you in our future content. If you haven't liked already, just press that button. If you haven't subbed already, press that button. Give us a sub. Best of luck to all of your weeks this week, all of your games, all of your matches, all your players. Hopefully, we have a lot of us rise up the ranks this week. And we'll see you in the next one. See you guys. Thank you again.